I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is.
All right, it is that time. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We should be looking good. Ooh wee, looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the morning show. I'm your host, Classy Beats. Patreon.com/Classy Beats, by the way. And make sure y'all check it out. And we're going to get into it. We've got a lot to cover today. Now, as you may have seen in the title, it looks like the jury is going to be deliberating today in the Jermaine Bass trial. So we've got a lot of catching up to do if we're going to try and beat them to a verdict. So we'll see what happens here. Either way, we're still going to cover the entire trial because the facts behind this trial are very interesting. We left off yesterday hearing from a couple of deputies and talking about what they saw when they first arrived on the scene. And we're going to get right back into it here today. But before I get into it, I gotta say what's up to everybody who's in the building, man. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate everybody who's in here. We've also got, I'm gonna read these super chats real quick and we're gonna get right into it. So shout out to my dog Les Cleaver in the building. Les Cleaver is in here. Says with the 5 bomb, I'll be at work when this starts, but my thoughts and prayers, blessings and love to each of you. God bless you all and good morning. And then we got Michi here with the 5 bomb too. Says, good morning, CEB family. May this verdict give justice. Stop hurting children. Protect our children from monsters. Paternal, maternal, and external. Excuse me. I agree. And I don't know how y'all are feeling about this. I still am not sure about the facts of this case. There's a lot of information missing, a lot we still haven't seen. So we've got to see this all the way through and get into it. If y'all could, make sure you like the video on your way in. If you haven't yet, it really does help the show continue to grow. It takes less than 2 seconds and it lets the algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show and it shares the video with more people. So if y'all could do that, I would appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get right into our coverage. We're continuing from day 1 and looking at this trial. It's amazing because it's only been a couple of days. Day 3 finished up yesterday. They just had a couple of hours, a few hours of actually court proceedings, and then the judge gave the jury instructions. So let's get into the rest of this and see what's going on.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
This might be a little fast. Let me slow it down. And y'all let me know if the audio's good.
My name is Danielle Janisic. DANIELLEJANICIK.
Good afternoon, Ms. Janasic. Tell the jury where you work.
The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Almost 4 years.
Explain to the jury, what is your title at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I am a crime scene investigator.
Oh, we
Help
got
us
CSI.
understand
Okay.
Exactly what does it mean to be a crime scene investigator? Tell us what you do.
When a call for service comes out, we are the ones that go to the scene and collect evidence, take photographs, swab for suspected biological fluids, and then process for latent prints.
How long have you worked at Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Almost 4 years.
When you started, did you get hired as a crime scene investigator?
Yes.
How many times have you been called out to a scene and been asked to do your duties as a crime scene investigator?
Hundreds.
On August 29th of 2022, is it fair to say that you've been to hundreds of scenes by that time as well?
Yes.
So on August 29th of 2022, do you get a call to be a crime scene investigator on the case we're here for today involving the defendant Jermaine Bass?
Yes.
Tell the jury what time about were you called to come out to the scene?
I was requested at about 12:20 a.m. to respond to Tampa General.
Now, when you get called to come out to a scene to be a crime scene investigator, who calls you to come? Is it like a patrol deputy or is a detective involved at that point?
Typically, it's a detective.
When you arrive after being called to a crime scene to be a crime scene investigator, do you typically meet with a detective before you conduct any of your duties as a crime scene investigator?
Yes.
On August 29th, or the morning of August 30th, when you arrived at the scene for this case, did you meet with a detective?
I did.
Who was that detective?
At the hospital, it was Detective Gibson.
So what hospital are we talking about?
Tampa General.
When you arrived at Tampa General Hospital, you meet with Detective Gibson. What do you do after you talk with Detective Gibson?
He requested that photos and evidence be collected of 2 individuals,
Who are the 2 individuals?
Jayla and Jermaine Bass.
Okay, and at the time, did you take photos at that scene?
Yes.
Then what did you do after that?
I responded to the Heritage Club Drive residents, to assist my lead CSI, Shannon Bader.
When you arrived at the Heritage Club residence and you were assisting, what does it mean to assist the lead crime scene investigator? Help us understand, what does that mean?
So usually the lead is the one that is taking the photographs, the one marking evidence, collecting evidence. I am behind her doing presumptive swabs, assisting
Yeah, it'll be
packaging her
interesting to see what they
swabs,
say.
or packaging her evidence further and getting it out of her way, or creating a scene diagram.
In this case, when you went to the Heritage Club townhome, were you asked to create a crime scene diagram?
I was.
Explain to the jury, how do you make a crime scene diagram? And do you just look around and sketch it out? What's the process to make that?
So we use something called a Faro scanner, and the easiest way to describe it is if you're looking to rent an apartment or buy a home, sometimes they have 3D virtual tours. These scanners are something similar to that. So we create a 3D virtual tour of the scene, and from that I can create a 2D diagram that is computer generated.
Nice.
And did you do that in this case?
I did.
Your Honor, at this point, I'm asking to, or I'm going to show the witness. This has been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 25. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of the diagram that you created in this case of the Heritage Club address?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I'm asking you to enter into evidence and publish what's been pre-marked for identification as State's Exhibit 25.
All right, it's been admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
So I'm placing State's Exhibit 25. There's 2 pieces of paper. I'm placing 25A on the Elmo. So if you notice, I'm pointing to the bottom left corner of 25A where we're noticing the words front door. Help us understand, would this be the bottom floor or the top floor when you went to make this diagram?
This would be the bottom floor.
So if you're entering from the parking lot, you're coming through where my finger is pointing right there where it says front door.
Yes.
Immediately to our left, we see what?
A kitchen?
The rectangle, excuse me, right to the right of the word kitchen. What is that representing?
The kitchen island?
Moving along, we're going further. My finger is pointing to the words dining area. Right above that, we're seeing what looks like to be a table and chairs. Is that representative of
Yes.
table and chairs? Okay. What is just beyond that at the top of your diagram, we see two squares with W/D. Tell the jury what that represents.
It's a washer dryer closet.
Now we're going forward into the living room. It looks like we're seeing number 1 and number 2. What are those representing?
They are evidence markers.
Okay, so, and it looks like number 1 is to the left of a longer rectangle. What does that represent?
And that's where
That longer rectangle
Jermaine was
at
sitting.
the bottom, just off to the center to the right.
It is a couch.
It looks like evidence marker 2 is just between two like darker squares to the right of the rectangle. What is that representing?
Like sofa chairs.
And to the right of that, we see a little sketch. Can you explain to the jury what we see to the right where my finger is? It's all the way to the right bottom right corner.
It was a little pink like Barbie car, like that you could sit and drive in.
Like a child's toy?
Yeah.
Now moving across the room, we see, what are we looking at right here? It looks like another rectangle. I'm pointing to the top center, almost off to the right. There's a rectangle and it looks like it has some lines like a grid. What does that represent?
Those are stairs.
Those are stairs.
Clearly.
So moving to 25B that I'm placing on the Elmo now, is it safe to say that the sketch diagram of 25B represents the upper level or the second floor of the townhome?
Yes.
So on the bottom left, we're looking at, do those also represent the stairs? And my finger is pointing the bottom left.
Yes, they do.
So you're walking up, it looks like you immediately run into, it's white, it's the outline of like a rectangle with a number 3 next to it. Explain to the jury what is number 3 representative of?
A cabinet or a shelf that was at the top of the stairs.
Right next to that, we see what looks like hallway, and then to the right of that, it looks like a line going to the right, and there's a series of small dots that connect it to the left. What is that representative of?
That is the hallway going into the front bedroom, which was the children's bedroom.
When you walk in, we're seeing a couple of different shapes, and we're seeing a couple of different words. So we're looking here to the left, there is a rectangle with 2 squares or 2 rectangles on the other sides of it, and it says dollhouse. Tell us what that means.
It was a dollhouse, like a Barbie dollhouse, that was in front of the bed.
The bed that we're looking at here to the left, it looks like we see a top rectangle and then a lower rectangle that is visible from the top aerial view. Explain to us why can I see the bottom one even though I can see the top one as well?
It was a double bunk bed with a larger bed at the bottom.
So what did it look like? Maybe it was like a twin over full or a twin over king. They're different sizes.
Yes, there were different sizes.
Gotcha. Now we're looking at, we can see on the top a number to the left. It looks like B2. Do you see that right there?
Yes.
What is that representative of?
It was a marker of, I believe it was a suspected bullet hole.
Okay, and we see also the numbers. It looks like on the top bunk here, we see number 6, number 11, number 8, number 10, and number 9. What is that representative of?
Those are all evidence markers.
Number 5, we see with a line. Is that being attributed, number 5, to an evidence marker?
Yes.
And would that be on the top or the bottom bunk?
I believe it was the bottom bunk.
So it looks like there's 6
Now,
numbers.
Looking over to the right, we see anytime we see these numbers, is it safe to say those are evidence numbers?
Yes.
So we see what looks like an evidence number 4. Tell us where that was located or what it was around.
It was around 2 sets of TVs, and it appeared to be like a chair, and it was in the corner.
So this line that we talked about earlier with the series of dotted lines before that, does that represent like the doorway?
Yes.
So if you're exiting through this doorway from the children's bedroom with the bunk bed, what's immediately to the right?
A bathroom.
And is that what we see here to the right where like the toilet and it looks like something in front of the toilet, a shower and a vanity area?
Yes.
Now walking down this hallway, it looks like there's a doorway to another room. What is that entering?
The master suite, master bedroom.
When you enter this doorway immediately to the right, what do we see?
Another bathroom.
Now, without any further doors, if you keep walking, you walk into what looks like the master bedroom, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, we see to the right a rectangle up against it, looks like the wall that separates the bathroom from the master bedroom. Is that representative of a dresser?
Yes.
We see several evidence markers, 12, 13, 14, and 18, or 16. Oh yeah, no, that's 18. Are those representative of
I wonder if this is
evidence that
dresser
found
where
in
the
this
gun
location
was.
on the dresser?
Yes.
Looking upwards to the right, we see 15. Is that an evidence marker found on another piece of furniture?
Yes, it was another dresser.
Another dresser, okay. Then we see the bed, we see evidence marker 17. Is that representative of a piece of evidence that was found on the bed?
Yes.
Now, when we're looking at both of these, 25A and 25B, is the purpose of doing these two diagrams so that every piece of physical evidence that's found at the scene is representative on this diagram.
Yes.
Okay. Now, after, one second, let me just return this to the clerk.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
After
Or
you
hard to
have the
understand.
Heritage Club address and you document the scene of the physical evidence that's found while you're assisting crime scene investigator Bader, did you have an occasion to go to a hospital where another victim, in this case Jermaine Bass, who we call JJ, was located?
Yes.
Did you have an occasion to take photographs of JJ and his injuries?
Yes.
And I'm showing you what's been trademarked for identification as states 27A through D. Do you recognize these photos?
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of what the child victim JJ looked like at the time that we photographed him?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I offer into evidence what's been trademarked for identification as states 27A through D as states 27A through D.
They're admitted
Do I have
already.
permission to publish?
Yep.
Thank you, Judge. I'm putting on the Almo what's been pre-marked for identification as state, or what's been entered into evidence as states 27A. What hospital was he located?
He was at TGH as well in the PICU,
What's the PICU, do you know?
the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit.
When you walked in, this wound that we're seeing,
That's sad.
For the record, on 27A, the photo is depicting what looks like the ear of the child. And up to the right, we see a wound. Is that his left ear?
Yes.
And I'm putting 27B on the Elmo. Often in these photos, we see these measurements used. Can you explain to the jury why and when you decide to use these measurements in photos?
When we take our series of photos, we usually do overall mid-range close-up, and what you're seeing are close-ups, and then with our close-ups, we add scales to give a relative size to show how large an item is or how small an item is.
This injury on 27B, is it the same injury that's depicted on what we just looked at on 27A?
It is.
I'm placing on the Elmo 27C. Tell the jury what we're looking at on 27C.
That is the JJ's right pinky finger.
An injury to his right pinky finger. I'm putting on the Elmo what's been entered into evidence as 27D.
I want to know
Is this
where
the
he's saying
same
the
photo
gun
that we
was
just
kept.
looked at? This one having the markers so we know how big it is.
Yes.
One moment. So we have the injury to JJ, the left side of his head right above his ear, and then we have the injury to his right pinky that we just saw in those photos, correct?
Yes.
Judge, may I just have a moment?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
All right. Cross?
No questions.
All right, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
She released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, didn't really get much from CSI there other than that they took some pictures. These were the shots were fired. Obviously, that's going to be important moving forward with the case, but nothing really to ask about there.
Your next witness.
Crime scene
Interesting.
Investigator Shannon Heater.
And let's skip ahead a little bit here.
Will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. If you would, please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Hello, my name is Shannon Bader, Shannon, last name Bader, Bader.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How long where do you work?
I work for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office as a crime scene investigator.
Tell the jury, how long did you work?
Another
at
CSI
the
investigator.
The Heritage Grove address associated with this case to do your investigation. Did you meet with the detective at that time?
Yes,
Who did you meet with?
Detective Clay Holman.
Do you guys walk through the scene together and have some sort of understanding before you start documenting?
Yes,
Did you do that in this case?
yes, I did.
When you arrived, tell them what you saw.
So I walked through, it is a townhome. that when you walk in, the kitchen is on your left, there's a living room area, then you walk up the stairs, there's a bedroom to your right, there's a bathroom kind of in the hallway area. There is then a master bedroom in the front, also with a bathroom inside.
Tell us what you're doing when you first walk through and during your process of documenting.
So first I walk through and I do a walkthrough of the scene. And then what I do is take overall photographs, which are basically photographs of the house and everything as is when I get there.
When you walk through and you're working with a detective to decide how to document, what do you use to place next to items that you see that may be of evidentiary value?
Evidence markers.
What do those evidence markers look like?
So I have yellow cones, or I also use green scale markers or yellow scale markers.
So tell us the difference between the scale markers and the cones. The cones, are they like physical cones that you can place next to something?
Yes.
What about the green and yellow scale markers? Are those like the cones or are they something different?
There's something else. They're basically like sticker scale rulers.
Do they all represent the same thing when they're used in one crime scene?
In this case, particularly, I use the yellow evidence markers to document items of evidentiary value of physical items that I was collecting. I use the green scale markers to document areas of red substances, and then I use the yellow scale markers to document any damage that I saw.
So yellow evidence markers were for physical things.
Yes.
The green scales, which are like stickers, that was used to document red substance you saw.
Yes.
And the yellow stickers were used for what?
For damages.
Damage, okay. Judge, do I have permission to publish what's been entered as states 22A through EEEE?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo states 22A. Tell us, when you first walk into the apartment or the townhome, is this what you see?
Yes.
What are we looking at in this photo?
So this is the living room area. The front door is behind me and the back door is in front of me. And this is, you could see evidence marker 1, and then on the floor should be green scale marker A.
There's probably blood
the
there.
cone of evidence marker 1 indicates to us that there was something physical next to it. What was physical next to it? Do you remember?
Yes, this was the ace bandage clip.
Okay. Now on the floor, you told us that the green scale stickers represent red substance. Is that what's notated on the floor right here?
Yes.
We're looking at 22B. Is this a close-up of that green sticker that we just saw?
Yes, it is.
And if we zoom in, if we zoom in, the red substance that's depicted on the floor, you can kind of see it in like the wood graining. Is that what you deem of evidentiary value to put the measure sticker next to it?
Yes.
We're looking at 22C. So when you first walk into the apartment, we saw evidence marker 1 was a couch. This evidence marker 2, are these 2 chairs? Was that just on the other side of the couch as you're walking into the room?
Yes.
Tell us what physical is next to evidence marker 2.
This is a blue cell phone.
We're looking at 22D. When you go to walk up the stairs, are these green stickers? We see 1, 2, 3 in this photo. What do you see on those green stickers, and what was the purpose of placing them there?
These are more areas of red substances as you're walking up the stairs on the wall. That should be green scale C, and then D and E up there.
I'm placing 22E on the Elmo. Now we're seeing a close-up, and if you zoom in, there was a green evidence sticker that we can see. It says red substance C that you just referred to. Also depicted, if we see a green sticker here to the left on one of the staircases. Why did you place that evidence marker there?
There's a red substance on that stair.
We're looking at 22F. Tell me the vantage point of this photo.
So this is kind of looking up. I'm standing in the middle area of the stairwell, and you're looking up to the landing.
We see a green marker on the left. Was that to document and mark a red substance as well?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22G. At this point, is this as if you had walked up to the very top of the stairs and you're looking ahead?
Yes.
Now, we can see a yellow evidence marker 3 in this view. Tell the jury what is immediately to the right of the physical evidence marker 3.
This is a gauze pad.
I'm placing 22H on the Elmo. Is this just a closer up view of that gauze pad?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22I. Which room are we looking into?
This is the kid's bedroom.
So, I want to zoom in. I see a green evidence marker on the left side of the doorway. You can see the brass or metal, door hinge to the left. Why did you place that green evidence marker on the doorway right there?
There was an area of red substance there.
Now,
Probably
on the
when they
other
were
side,
bringing
the
the
green
daughter
area
out of
that we
the
just
room.
looked at, that's not the side that the door is connected to, correct?
Correct.
So the area where I'm pointing on the right side of the photo, where immediately to the right of that, it looks like there's like an open closet right there. That's where the door is attached to, correct? So it opens up inward.
Yes.
Now on 22J, which I'm placing on the Elmo, is this the same doorway that we're looking at, but we're looking at the actual side of the door?
Yes.
And I see an evidence marker in the middle, it's green. Tell us what that represents.
The red substance on the door.
Now we're zooming in. Tell the jury and explain for the record, everything's written down, what color's the door?
White.
So the spots that we're seeing in this photo, is that the red substance that you deemed should be marked with that green marker?
Yes.
I'm placing 22K on the Elmo. We see in the bottom right-hand corner a silver door handle. Is that the silver door handle on the door from the previous photo we were looking at?
Yes.
So when we're walking into the room, is this the children's room that we're walking immediately into?
Yes.
In the middle of the room, tell the jury, I'm pointing to a circle here that has a pink around it, and tell them what it is.
Trampoline.
And immediately in front of that, we see a white rectangle. What was that?
A pillow.
We see a green evidence marker on the pillow, and I'm going to zoom in so that we can see it a little bit better. What color is the pillow?
White.
And you can see that there is a red substance.
It's a lot of blood on the
Is that why you
pillow.
chose to place that evidence marker there?
Yes.
Immediately behind the trampoline, it looks like, is that a dresser?
Yes.
I'm placing 22L on the Elmo. We see on the right side of this photo a brown, it looks like the same dresser you just pointed out in the photo before, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's the
Tell
bottom of the
jury
bunk bed there.
What's in the middle where the green marker is that we see that I'm pointing to right now.
That is another red substance on the floor.
That's
Now
a
we're
lot of
looking
blood.
at 22M. Are these the same monitors that we're looking at here in 22L?
Yes.
So as we walk over and we take a better look at 22, or at the monitors that were on 22L, on 22M, what is the yellow evidence marker signifying?
This is marking the red cell phone that's on the ground.
22N I'm placing on the Elmo. Tell the jury what the purpose of the green sticker is.
This is marking the red substance on the ground.
I'm putting on the Elmo 22O. What are we seeing here? We see something in the doorway.
The dollhouse.
Was that there all along, or was that moved during the course of the investigation?
It was moved.
Where was it originally?
Up against that pink house that's against the bunk bed.
So I'm pointing to the right where I see gray framing. Is that the gray framing of the bunk bed you're talking about?
Yes.
Immediately to the left of that, we see like a darker hot pink that looks like some sort of child's house. Are you indicating that the one on the left was pushed up against?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this marker 7, what is that indicating?
There's a piece of a gun holster in the, I guess, baby holder.
Like some sort of like baby doll
Yeah.
toy. Okay, we're looking at 22F. I'm placing on the Elmo. Is this a closer up of the evidence marker you were just discussing?
Yes.
And once we zoom in, what do we see inside of
What is that?
baby doll accessory here?
That is a piece of a gun holster.
A piece of a gun holster. 22Q.
Interesting.
What are we looking at here?
This is the top of the bunk where the stairs are, and there's 3 areas of red substances marked.
So we see one on the left side here of the
I don't
top
know,
of the
y'all. This
ladder,
doesn't make
correct?
sense.
One up at the top corner where you like walk up the ladder, and then one immediately to the left of that.
Yes.
We're looking at 22R. Tell us what we're looking at in 22R.
This is the top bunk where you could now see a green scale marker. You can kind of still see the one in the corner. 2 areas of damage marked, and then yellow evidence marker 6.
I think this is the first time that we see the yellow markers. So you said the yellow stickers represent damage. So
Look at
for
all that
instance,
blood,
we see
man.
damage
God.
A.
Dang.
What does that look like to you? Is that in the drywall?
Yes, that's the hole in the wall.
So we see I'm zooming in for the record on damage, I just zoomed in on damage A, now I'm zooming in on damage B. What are we looking at in damage B right here?
That's damage on one of the bed posts on the top bunk.
And then we see another green sticker right above the bed frame on the far left. What is that indicating?
That is marking a red substance on that wall.
So on that wall, tell us what color's the wall?
White.
Any of the spotting that we're seeing right there, is that what you deem to be red substance?
Yes.
Oops, wrong thing, I'm sorry. Now we see on the right side of this picture, a physical yellow evidence marker number 6. Tell the jury what the physical evidence marker number 6 is representing.
That is representing a casing.
That's crazy.
22S, I'm placing on the Elmo. This is a similar view as the one before, would you agree?
Yes.
The difference is we see a marker on the mattress. Tell us what the marker on the mattress indicates.
That is showing the red substance on the mattress.
We're seeing on 22T, tell us what we see.
These are 2 red substances on the wall, and this is a view from the bottom bunk.
So, and to reference this, I want to put on 22U. So in 22U,
Wow.
what are we looking at?
So this is the bunk bed. You could see the top and the bottom in this photo.
Explain to the jury so that they can understand what size were the beds?
The exact number I do not recall.
But was it a queen over a queen?
Oh, a
Was it
twin.
A twin on the top, and on the bottom, did the mattress fit the frame perfectly on top?
On the bottom, no.
On the top.
On the top, yes.
Okay, and on the bottom, no. So help us understand, was the mattress too big or too small for the frame on the bottom?
I
On
don't
the
know
bottom,
why
it's
that
too
matters.
Now, what are we seeing in, we're looking at 22U specifically, and I want to focus your attention. You can see that there is a mattress on the bottom, but then it looks like some sort of item behind the mattress, flat up against the wall. What was that item?
A giant teddy bear.
And what did it look like the purpose of the giant teddy bear being between the wall and the mattress to you?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
When you were at the scene looking at the giant teddy bear, did it fit between the mattress and the wall?
Yes.
Was the mattress touching the wall at that time?
No.
Now, I want to refer back to 22T. There's 2 evidence markers here. Oop. What are they representing to you? We see one that says red substance Q. And it looks like a straight line down. What did it look like to you when you were there in person and had a chance to look at it up close?
It was the red substance on the wall, and then next to red sub R, also a red substance, both consistent with blood.
Now, we just talked about you. So let's go to V. This gives
What do
us
y'all
a
think
better
is going
view
on
of,
here? This
evidence
is
marker
so
6 that
odd.
we talked about before. What are we looking at that's immediately to the right of evidence marker 6?
This is the casing on the bed.
22W. Is this the same casing we just viewed as next to evidence marker 6?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22X. Is this the top bunk or the bottom bunk?
The top bunk.
And are these the same damage marks, A and B, that you pointed to before, and red substance marks that we've seen in other photos?
Yes.
The pillow, was that on the mattress when you were taking photos?
Yes.
I'm placing 22Y. Is this a closer up of the red substance we talked about before, right next to the teddy bear on the bottom bunk?
Yes.
22Z. Tell us what we're looking at in this photo.
This is the bathroom that is next to the kids' bedroom.
Now, on the far right of this photo, where my finger is located, the far right, you can see an open door. Tell the jury, where does that door lead to?
That door is the child's bedroom.
So, the door that I'm pointing to in the middle of the photograph that you can see that's open, the wall above here that I'm pointing to, which is right next to the tile from the shower for the record, that wall is shared by this bathroom and the children's room, correct?
Yes, correct.
22AA, I'm placing on the Elmo. What are we looking at here on the right? We see an evidence marker,
This is the yellow scale marker documenting damage on the wall.
and it's labeled damage A1. We also see a marker on the left side. It looks like there's a shower curtain rod and a shower curtain. what is documented here on this side?
That is documenting damage on the shower curtain.
So I'm looking at 22BB, I'm placing on the Elmo. Damage A1, is that on the wall that we just looked at in the bathroom?
Yes.
Damage A2 in 22CC, is that the damage to the shower curtain that you were just talking about?
Yes.
Bullets flying everywhere.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22DD. Damage A2 that you just discussed on the shower curtain, is that the same one?
Yes.
Now, what are we looking at here on the left? Tell us, describe to us what that damage is and where it was located.
That's damage A3, and it's in the shower on the wall.
We're looking at
Jeez.
22EE, I'm placing on the Elmo. Is that the same damage you just described?
Yes.
What's located within the damage that we see on this photo?
That would be a projectile.
22FF, I'm placing on the Elmo. So we just left the bathroom, we're not in the bathroom anymore. Where are we right now looking at the damage that is depicted in this photo?
This is the top bunk railing.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22GG. Tell us the vantage point of this photo. I see a marker that says A1 and damage B2. Where are you standing when this photo was taken?
So now I'm standing inside that bathroom that is next to the child's bedroom, and we're looking at the wall that is shared with the child's bedroom.
Is this the same bathroom that just showed the damage that was to the shower curtain and the projectile that was found in the shower tile that we just looked at?
Yes.
Same room.
Yes.
We're looking at 22HH.
Those shots
See
are
damage
awfully
B2.
high.
Again, is that the same bathroom that we've been discussing?
Yes.
22II. Tell us what we're looking at. Which room are we in now?
This is the kid's bedroom, and this is a view of the bottom bunk and where the stairs start.
When we're looking at this bottom bunk, we see what looks like a pink and purple blanket. Behind that, we see kind of a big lump back there. Is that the teddy bear you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
We see an evidence marker number 5. What is that significant?
That is another casing on the bed on the bottom bunk.
We're looking at 22JJ. What's the purpose of this photo?
This is showing the height of how high the bunk beds are.
So we see what looks like a measuring tool here on the left, and it looks like the top portion of the railing on the top bunk is 5 feet and 5 inches. Is that fair?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22KK. Tell the jury what we're looking at here. We see 3 evidence markers, 8, 9, and 10.
These are marking 3 more casings.
Now, this photo, is this of the top bunk or is this the bottom bunk?
The top bunk.
22LL. Is this the close-up? We're looking at 8 right here with a casing right next to it. This is just a close-up of the casing located next to that
Yes.
marker. What are we looking at 22MM?
That is the head stamp of that casing.
What about 22NN? We're looking at evidence marker 9 and 10.
Also the casings.
So this casing that I'm pointing to more in the middle, is that attributed to evidence marker number 9?
Yes.
And the casing that's to the left where it looks like the empty cylinder is facing upward towards the ceiling, is that attributed to evidence marker number 10?
Yes.
22BB. No, sorry. 2200, I'm placing on the Elmo. Is this the head stamp? Hold on. There we go. Is this the head stamp of the shell casing attributed to evidence marker number 9?
Yes.
23PP. What are we looking at?
That is the casing at evidence marker number 10.
22QQ. Tell the jury what we're looking at.
I don't know why they keep showing Jermaine. We don't need to see him.
Head stamp a couple of times. I don't want to blow over that. Can you explain to the jury when you're using the term head stamp, what does that mean?
So basically the casing, it is the top of the casing that has the imprint and the firing impression on it.
We're looking at 22RR and placing on the Elmo. Tell us the significance of the evidence marker. We see 11.
Evidence marker 11 is showing the bedding on the top bunk.
We're looking at 22SS. I'm placing on the Elmo. Help us get oriented. We've been into the bathroom. We've been into the children's bedroom. We've been downstairs. Where are we now in 22SS?
So this is the
we're
dresser
in
with the gun.
The master bedroom.
Allegedly.
22 TT, I'm placing on the Elmo. Is this the same master bedroom?
Yes.
Help us understand the vantage point. I see in the middle, I see what looks like an open door right to the right of the silver dresser depicted in this photo. Is that the door that you would use to enter and exit this master bedroom?
Yes.
22 UU, I'm placing on the Elmo. Help us understand what we're looking at here.
This is the dresser in that master bedroom, and there is a live round next to evidence marker 12.
I'm going to zoom in. What does a live round mean?
It is a round that has not been fired by a gun.
To the left of evidence marker 12, there is a silver object that I'm pointing to. Is that the live round you just spoke about?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22 VV. What are we looking at?
We get you're
22
placing everything on the Elmo. Dang.
That is the head stamp of the live round.
22 WW. I see evidence marker 13 and 14. Help us understand what they are attributed to.
This is that drawer in that dresser that we just looked at, and 13 is a wallet, and 14 is a gun.
So let's go back to, this is 22 TT. In the back, we see evidence markers 13 and 14 and a drawer to the top left that's open. Is that what we're looking at, just like a top aerial view here in 22 WW?
Yes.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22XX. Is this a close-up of the two items you just described?
Yes.
So we have 13 attributed to a wallet, and then 14 attributed to the item that we see right here, which looks like the top of a handgun. Is that correct?
Yes.
22 YY. I'm placing on the Elmo. Is 22 YY the same firearm that's right here by evidence marker 14?
Yes.
In this photo, it's facing the right. I'm placing 22Z on the Elmo. Is this the same firearm?
Yes.
It's facing the other way.
Yes.
22A. I'm placing on the Elmo. What are we
It's a
looking at?
380.
That is a magazine that was also in that drawer.
Was it in the drawer?
Does that change anything for you, Michi? It's a 380.
The firearm, or was it separate from the firearm?
It was separate.
Okay. Now, we're looking at 22B. Orient the jury. Where are we when we find evidence marker 15?
This is next to that dresser, and it is a phone inside of a backpack.
So are we still inside the master bedroom when we find and locate this backpack that's depicted in next to evidence marker 15?
Yes, we are.
22C, I'm placing on the Elmo. Orient us to this photo. It looks like there's a hand depicted in the photo. Is that your hand?
Yes.
What are you holding in your hand in 22CCC?
A projectile.
A projectile. Where was this projectile found?
In the wall of the bathroom, sharing that wall that shares the child's bedroom.
So we just left the master bedroom, so let's back up. 22CC.
And whoever did this most likely emptied the clip because that Glock only holds, I think, 6 to 7 rounds, if I'm right. It's the smallest one that they make.
See where this hole in the wall is that from the vantage point of standing in the bathroom where this wall shares the room with the children's bedroom?
Yes.
22D, I'm placing on the Elmo. Is that the same projectile we just saw, just a close-up version?
Yes.
22DDD. Did I just say that? 22EEE.
They emptied the magazine.
I'm placing on the Elmo.
Yeah,
Where-
meaning the Glock 42 380s only usually have a magazine that holds 6 to 7 rounds.
What are you looking at?
This is the top bunk mattress after we cut it open.
And that's how many were
What was the
fired.
purpose of cutting the mattress open from the top up?
We had noticed a hole in it.
It's weird.
22FFF. What are we looking at here?
Now we ripped away all the foam inside, and now we're looking inside the coils of the mattress.
So in this photo that we're looking at right here, it looks as though this mattress is now on the bottom bunk. Help us understand.
So because the mattress was on top, in order to just examine it better, we did bring it down to the bottom bunk.
What are we looking at in 22GGG?
You can kind of see the projectile that it's under all the coiling in the mattress.
22 HHH, what are we looking at?
That is that projectile.
So this projectile was found in the mattress that was located on the top of the bed.
Yes.
What are we looking at in 22 HHH?
This is back to the master bedroom, and it is a security camera on a nightstand.
22 III, we see an evidence marker 17.
That is marking that Adidas bag.
When you first initially walked into the master bedroom, was that Adidas bag sitting on the bed, or was it located elsewhere first?
It was located elsewhere,
Where was it located?
in the master closet.
What was the purpose of taking it down from the master closet and onto this bed to photograph it?
This was after the detectives had done their search and it had found that it was of evidentiary value. So then I took the photograph of it.
Okay, so 22 JJJ. What are we looking at in here? What is this the contents of?
This is the contents of that bag at evidence marker 17.
So the same bag that we see in 22 III, are you saying that this is the contents of that same bag in 22 JJJ?
Yes.
Now, we're looking at 22 LLL, placing it on the LL. Oops. It looks like a hand is holding some sort of measuring device. Help us understand, why are there times that you use a measuring device, like a ruler in this case, to show the height of something?
This is showing the height of the damage to show how high it is off the ground.
In this photo, we see an evidence tag to the left that's labeled damage A1. Right above that, we see something poking out of the damage that we've seen before. We've never seen something that thus far in all of these photos poking out of the damage. Help the jury understand what's poking out of damage A1.
That is called a trajectory rod.
What's the purpose of using trajectory rods when you are documenting a crime scene?
A trajectory rod is used to show a possible flight of path through 2 areas of damage or more.
So for instance, if you have a crime scene where it looks like you have what some may call a through and through, is a rod helpful in that situation to document the trajectory to show in fact if it was a through and through?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we see damage A1 that there's a rod there. We're looking at, also for the record, would you agree with me that the damage A1 is just about 5 feet 6 inches high?
Yes.
So now we're looking at 22 MNM. Oh, I guess it would be helpful to just make sure that 22 LLL, this damage A1, what room are we located in?
This is the bathroom on that same wall that shares the child's bedroom above the towel rack.
So on the direct other side of this wall, is that where the bunk beds were located?
Yes.
Now, 22 MMM, I'm placing on the LL. Is this the same bathroom that we were just looking at?
Exactly.
In the previous photo?
Yes.
There's so many
Now,
things that could have
next to
happened.
damage A1, again, it looks like we have a ruler. Would you agree with me that damage A1 is about 4 feet, 11 and a half or so inches?
Yes.
There you
We're
go.
looking at 22 NNN. What are we looking at in this photo? We see a ruler to the left of what?
This is showing the height of damage A3 in the shower wall.
Would you agree with me that the damage is right around the 4 foot 10 to 11 marker?
Yes.
We're looking at 22000. The green item that we see depicted in the middle of this photo, is that the trajectory rod that you were discussing with the jury earlier that we saw poking out of damage A1?
Yes, it is.
What's the purpose of documenting with the trajectory rod, specifically in this photo?
So this is showing the connection between the damage that I had marked at the yellow scale markers A.
Just using a trajectory rod in a situation such as this one, where the damage depicted shows it could potentially all be caused by one projectile.
Yes.
Speculation.
Overruled.
So in this case, what's depicted in 22000, does damage A1, hold on, I have to,
Yep.
does the damage to the wall, the damage to the shower curtain, and the damage to the shower tile containing the projectile all match up using the trajectory rod?
Yes.
Oh my. Oh no. Look at this trajectory, y'all. I don't know how big Jermaine Bass is, but for him to make that shot, he would have to be, and I can see how tall this is, unless Jermaine is under 4 feet, he would have to be on his knees on the ground shooting up. Why does the trajectory look like this? I don't like it.
We're looking at 22 PPP. Can you zoom out? What room are we in here?
This is the bathroom.
And we're looking at a marker entitled damage B2. Would you agree with me that the damage B2
This is
looks
important.
like it encompasses 4 feet and between 9 and 10 inches?
Yes.
Just for the record, there's 2 bathrooms.
Yes.
Yes.
You said we're in the bathroom.
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am. Thank you, Judge. The bathroom that we've been discussing.
That trajectory is weird.
Is that all the bathroom that's directly next to the children's bedroom?
Yes.
Did you notice any damage whatsoever in the bathroom that would be right next to that, adjacent to the master bedroom?
No.
So, all along during your testimony, when we've been discussing a bathroom that has any damage to it, we would be talking to the bathroom where the wall is shared directly with the children's room.
Yes.
Okay. 22 QQQ. Is this photo documenting the difference between the 2 damages on the wall?
Yes.
Damage A1 and damage A2.
Yes, and how far it is from the entryway door.
Okay, and so on the right where this 1 starts, is that where the door would be open?
Yes.
22 RRR, I'm placing on the Alamo. Take us back.
This
what
is
we
so
know we
strange,
The
man.
children's bedroom.
The photo depicted, we see a mattress and bed railings. Are we looking at the top bunk or are we looking at the bottom bunk?
The top bunk.
The damage that we saw, we see damage A and damage B. Are those the damage markers that we discussed before seeing on the top bunk?
Yes.
Now, we see an item that is sticking out of damage A and an item right next to damage B. It's not going through damage B, but it looks like it's
Oh.
coming from behind the wall. Help us understand what those 2 items are. Let's start with the green one that's coming out of damage A.
That is the trajectory rod that we were discussing earlier.
That green trajectory rod that you said we were discussing earlier, is that the same exact trajectory rod that we saw depicted going through the damage into the children's bathroom, through the shower curtain, and into the tile?
Yes, it is.
That is the same exact rod we were looking at.
Yes.
What about, we see it looks like red or pinkish rod that we're looking at here. It's right next to the damage B marker, but it's not coming out of it. Help us understand that.
So this one is going into the hole in the wall. That would be damage B1,
Where is damage B1 located?
on the wall behind that railing.
Okay, so we're looking at 22 SSS. Is that the same trajectory rod we just were looking at that goes from the children's bedroom into the children's bathroom?
Yes.
And we see a red substance on the right side as well. It looks like 22 TTT refers back to, is this the children's shower that we were talking about, the green trajectory rod?
Yes.
And referring back to 22 SSS, that's the same pole depicted in both. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
22 U, what are we looking at here?
This is a bag, and on top of it is a holster, a box of ammunition, and a magazine.
Was that bag located right here when it was photographed?
Looks like
No,
her
it's not.
purse.
Where was it located before it was photographed?
That was in the children's bedroom closet.
So it was brought down from the closet so that you could take the contents out and photograph them?
Yes.
22 VVV were placed on the Alamo. Where is this damage located?
This damage is where the projectile came from of the B2 in the bathroom that shares the wall with the children's bedroom.
Dang.
We're looking at 22 WWW. What do we see here?
This is the bottom of the drawer that we saw earlier with evidence markers 13 and 14. This is once taking the clothing out, evidence marker 18 was placed.
What room is evidence marker 18 found in?
The master bedroom.
So the drawer that we saw before, is this the same drawer?
Yes,
So help us understand, you didn't see these items before because of why?
there was clothing on top of it.
Once you removed the clothing, you were able to see these, and that's why you placed this evidence marker there?
Yes.
Tell us what exactly is depicted in this photo.
In this photo, there are loose live rounds at the bottom of this drawer.
And again, a live round is what?
A round that has not been fired yet by a gun.
22XXX. Is this just a closer up of evidence marker 18, those live rounds that you're discussing?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is. I see y'all in the comments, man. This is
22Y.
Wild.
22Y.
That is the head stamp of the live rounds that were in that drawer.
so. It looks like they had another gun.
Let's see. 22AA. I'm placing on the Elmo. What are we looking at here?
This is the Adidas bag that was at evidence marker 17.
Remind us, where was this Adidas bag initially located?
Initially in the master bedroom closet,
After it was taken from the master bedroom closet, where was it placed so that you could photograph it?
on the bed in the master bedroom.
Now, where are these photographs taking place?
These are taken back at the office at the crime scene section.
22BBBB. Where are we looking at here?
This is that same bag just opened.
22CCCC. I'm placing on the Elmo. What are we looking at here?
These are now the contents I took out of the bag.
So it looks like in this photo, in the top middle, it looks like a computer mouse with some wiring. Is that correct?
Yes,
Then we see to the right of that, we see a zippered pouch right here. And next to that, it looks like another sort of pouch.
yes.
We see below that, looks like some plastic, or one plastic container of sorts. Is that right?
Oh,
It's
yes.
a plastic bag?
Yes,
What's to the left of the plastic bag?
that is a magazine.
Magazine. What's to the left of the magazine?
Ammunition box,
What's to the left of that?
batteries,
Now we're going on what would look like a third row. We see a box of metal objects that have a point to it. What are those?
those
Where are
are
the other
also
guns?
ammunition box,
What's inside of the ammunition box?
live rounds.
To the right of that, we see what looks like a rectangle of something. What are those?
Live rounds as well.
To the right of that, we see another rectangle. And for the record, the one to the left that she just described was more, what color would you call that, silver?
Yes,
The one to the right, what color would you say those were?
more gold,
And what are those gold things?
also live rounds.
Now, next to those gold live rounds, we see 3 items next to each other. They look similar, but they're different lengths. Tell the jury what they are.
They are magazines.
Magazines for what?
A gun.
Extendo.
We look next to that and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. What are those?
Those are ammunition boxes.
Later, do you open up those ammunition boxes and photograph the contents inside of those other 7 ammunition boxes?
Yes,
Below that, it looks like a cell phone, is that correct?
yes.
What's to the left of that? It looks like something on its side, I can't tell.
I think that is a magazine as well.
Okay, and to the left of that, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the bottom of the page. What are those?
Casings,
Casings. There's one silver item above that. What is that?
also a casing.
There's one, what color would you call that? A gold item above
Gold.
that? It looks like actually there's 3 of them. What are those?
Also casings.
To the left of that, we see an orange item that is like a U in nature that looks like it has 2 little silver keys on it. What is that?
A lock of some sort.
Above that, what are we looking at right here?
I'm not sure what that is.
Okay. And to the left of that on the far left bottom corner, it looks like a circle with something coming out of that. What is that?
It's used to hold ammunition, live rounds.
So let me exit all the way. 22DDDD. Is this a closer up view of the contents of those boxes we just discussed?
Yes, it is.
And remind me again, what are those?
Live rounds.
22EEEE.
This is
That
typical in the
circle item
South.
That has something.
Most
coming out of
people
the
have
top.
safes, though.
What are we looking at there?
These are the live rounds that came from that circular device.
So when you
It's a
photographed
drum,
circular
lady.
device
Come
the
on.
first time, did
How do you not
see
know what a
those
drum is?
Silver items up top. Did those come from within that
Yes.
circular item?
Yes, they did.
Okay, and Judge, may I have a moment to hand this to my co-counsel to put back in order, please?
Basically, they had a good bit of guns and a lot of ammo. And no safe. Yeah, it looks like they didn't have a safe either, which is, again, y'all be surprised. A lot of people here in the South, it is what it is. Now, I will also say, as many people teach their kids how to use guns, a lot of people in the South don't teach their kids about gun safety per se. So a little bit of an imbalance there.
We have just a moment, Judge.
Yes.
It's crazy.
May I retrieve scissors, please? And Judge, what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 9, do I have permission to publish?
Yes.
And if you want to step down for me? Sure.
We got some more evidence
State's
coming
Exhibit
in.
9. The shell casing that you got from the bottom bunk, do you remember when you were discussing that with the jury?
Yes.
If you don't mind, standing right over here so they don't see it. If you don't mind removing that, if you look at the label, this is the shell casing that was taken from the bottom bunk, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we saw a picture of that earlier, correct?
Yes.
Don't mind removing that shell casing. Would you mind putting it on Elmo so they can see? So, orient us again. We walk into the children's bedroom. On the bottom bunk, we find this spent shell casing.
Yes.
Okay. Can you put it back in front of you? Now, State's Exhibit 10. Do I have permission to publish?
Yes, everything that's admitted you can publish.
Thank you, Judge. State's Exhibit 10 was found on the top bunk, correct?
Yes.
So, if you recall, the photos of the blue blanket, and there were 3 shell casings found on the blue blanket, correct?
Yes.
And this is one of them. Can you put it back in?
Interesting. And it looks like 80% of you so far are saying he's going to be guilty. Or you would give him a not guilty, or a guilty verdict, excuse me.
This is 10, sorry.
Yes, it happens with kids and unsecured weapons a lot.
Oops, sorry. We're looking at States 11, which was another one found in the top bunk.
Yes.
And I see y'all asking how long the kids were at home. We don't know how long the kids were at home, but Jermaine was supposed to be at home with the kids while Shirley was out with her sister. And then he actually left, was following them, I guess, to see what they were up to. They noticed he was following them on the interstate. They pulled over. They're like, "What are you doing here?" He left. They left and went home. What happened after that? What happened during that time? We don't know. We don't know how long it took either. Again, this whole thing is weird.
Looking at states 12. Or double back, sorry. You can reach in and get it. So this is also from the top bunk. On that blue blanket.
And I see y'all asking about did he admit to doing it. I mean, you heard him on the video. He said it was an accidental discharge.
13. The last one from the top bunk. And when you see me looking, opening all of these envelopes, hopefully you understand why are they packaged this way.
Yep, he said it was cleaning the gun and it went off.
The first packaging is me, and package it and sign it and show that it's our evidence.
And does it have labels on it too, so that they know and can keep track of where everything is and what it is?
Yes.
So states 13 that we're looking at right now, this is the last of the casings that were found at the top bunk on that blue blanket, right?
Yes.
We want this one. Now, the next item that we look at, when you were in the master bedroom, we saw pictures of that silver dresser. We saw a wallet next to one of the evidence markers.
Yes.
Here, we have gloves on. Let me pull it out. Is this the wallet that you
Yes.
took into custody?
Yes, it is.
Can you open it? Oh, sorry. We're way too zoomed in. Okay. That's states 15. Can you put that back in? States 17. I'm opening. The bathroom that we were discussing that had all of the damage was only in the children's bathroom. The projectile that was located in a shower tile, did you collect and take that into custody?
Yes, I did.
There's too many envelopes, hold on. Okay, can you get the tape open or do you need mine? There you go. Hold on, I'm just gonna zoom in. Okay. States 18. I'm now opening, and I'll bring you back to the shower with damage, children's shower. There was a point on the wall that we saw photos of where the drywall was removed so that you could collect what was inside.
Yes.
It was a projectile that you found inside, correct?
Yes.
I think that was the photo that we looked at where we could see your hand in the photo.
Yes.
Can you open what's inside of stage 18 to show the jury what was found inside of that wall? Perfect. States 19. We're looking at, you talked about the bottom bunk bed, or the mattress that you moved to the bottom to collect projectile from the mattress. Was that item seized and collected?
Yes.
I mean, think of
You can put that on the envelope for me so that the jurors can see.
the defense is saying that he didn't shoot him. I mean, we can put two and two together, right? The defense knows certain things that they can't say. The defense is clearly saying and alluding to the fact that Jermaine didn't shoot him. So who did? I think y'all are having the conversation in the comments. I think we have an idea, but again, let's let this play out. We'll keep going.
Came from that mattress. I just zoomed in for the record. I'll take that back. Thank you. The only other thing I want to clarify, the wallet. You take the contents out, sorry. Sure.
And
Can you open up
Jermaine Bass has 0 priors. 0, by the way.
the wallet and take out the ID from the wallet so that the jurors can see whose ID was contained within the wallet. For the record, the witness pulled out a Florida driver's license. I'm zooming in on it. It says Jermaine Lavonda Bass Jr. and it's showing the defendant's photograph. That's from the wallet that was found next to the firearm in the silver drawer, correct?
Correct.
I think I need you to stay right here for the next item. I need to have a moment, Judge. Do we have... Can we approach just briefly, Judge?
Sure.
So they're approaching for a second. Let's skip ahead, see what's going on here. What do y'all think about this so far?
Okay. The last thing we talked about was the drawer where, in the silver dresser, master
It's
bedroom,
very
you
sad.
find the wallet, you also find a firearm. Did you collect the firearm?
Yes.
This has been entered into evidence as State Exhibit 16. I have permission to post and help you in. So the firearm that you found in that silver drawer, we saw in evidence.
A lot of
on the
unanswered
next
questions,
is the
I agree.
Firearm that you collected from the Heritage Grove townhouse that day.
Yes.
Pardon? The box
Ryan
is
says
open?
she wants to
Was it
change
made
her
safe
vote.
already? All right.
It's understandable.
Now, explain to the jury how is this made safe during,
With the zip tie.
please don't for me. So, now that State 16 is on the Elmo, we see a zip tie on the top that goes through, it looks like where a projectile would come out.
Correct.
Does that help make it safe?
Yes.
What about the bottom one? What is that helping to, the bottom zip tie?
That is zip tying the trigger area, and it attaches the firearm tag.
There is another item inside. Can you pull it out so the jury can see, please? So the firearm has been placed on the Elmo. Now we're placing what looks like, tell the jury what is the ID just based on the
That gun is
Elmo.
not safe.
Can you hold it up so that they can see how many bullets can be put inside of it? Here, you can do it. So you just placed the magazine on its side, and we see that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes on it. Okay, we can put it back in the box. Thank you.
So yeah, 6 shots.
You can take your seat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I- We have just a moment, Judge.
Yes.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the son was tired of the parents fighting all the
Judge, Let
time.
me just have a minute. I need to put gloves on as well for this.
Dang, I hate to even think about that, to be honest.
Oh,
want to direct your attention to the top bunk of the children's bed. You showed us in photos, and then you showed us the 3 casings that were found on the children's top bunk. Just now, we saw that they were marked with evidence marker 8, 9, and 10. We just saw them on the elbow. We discussed how they were on top of a blue blanket. Do you recall that?
Yes.
So this is what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 14. We're going to go ahead and open this item. The blue blanket that we've been discussing and that we saw photographed with the shell casings and the evidence markers on top of it, was that item taken into evidence and preserved?
Yes.
One item in here. For the record, I opened an item contained within State's, I think, 17 evidence marker. I'm holding a pillow that has red substance on it.
Oh, not the pillow.
Is this the pillow that was located on the top bunk? Where
Jeez.
the rest of the evidence markers and items were located?
Yes.
The more I find out, the less I know. Yeah, I feel that.
There's another item located within this exhibit. that I'm going to pull out.
Yeah, and we'll hear about how long he was gone too. Maybe we can put 2 and 2 together and come up with a time.
George, do you mind if I use that tabletop to help place this on while I open it?
Well,
So
whatever
that's
the
right
bailiff
there.
wants, whatever the bailiff wants you to do.
Thank you. This is the blue blanket, or one of the blankets that were located on the top bunk of the bed,
Yes.
where those evidence markers and shell casings were located.
Yes.
Looks like it's a Batman
Yes.
blanket. One more item.
That's true. No, the kids were at home when he followed them. And Florida does have the death penalty. Keep that in mind. Give me 1 second, y'all.
Is this the other blanket that was located on the top bunk where we located the shell casings with those markers that we saw in the photos?
Yes.
And that you showed on the elbow?
Yes.
Looks like it's a Star Wars blanket with the red substance. You have just a moment, Judge.
Yes.
Judge, if I may just have a moment, please take your seat to just repackage. Thank you. Judge, if you don't mind, the counsel is going to help package. I just have a couple of other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Come around this way. It's 28A through E, they've already been into the evidence.
What number?
It states 28A through E.
All right.
I'm placing on the Elmo states 28A. The damage and the red substance we're looking at in this photograph, where is this from?
This is the child's bedroom on the wall that the bunk bed was on.
So at some point, it looks like in this photo, the bunk bed has been removed out of the wall. Was that for this photo?
Yes,
So the bunk bed has been moved so that you can see the wall better?
yes.
In one of the photos we were looking at earlier, we were discussing the trajectory rods. You talked about the trajectory rod that we said was like red or pinkish in color. Is this the one that we were referring to that you and I were?
Uh-oh. I came back and messed the whole thing up. I should have just stayed away. Hold on, y'all.
Discussing before?
Yes.
Now, the damage that was done to the railing that was up against the wall, is that coordinating with this damage B1 or is this separate?
It is separate. At the time, I thought it was coordinated, but it is separate.
Okay, so, and is the point of the measurements of the wall, help us understand, we've seen other things before, but why place these measurements here for these three items?
So this is a method that we call T-scaling. We basically go across from the entrance of that bedroom across and then down. It just gives you a height of all three of these areas. It shows you the damage, how high it is, and how far across it is, as well as that red substance.
I'm looking at 28B, I'm placing it on the Elmo. We see the scale here for damage A. Tell me how far off the ground damage A is.
This is about 5 feet 6.5 inches.
We're looking at 28C, I just placed on the Elmo. Help us understand the purpose of the measurement of this photo.
This is showing the height of the top of the bunk bed from the ground up.
How tall is the top portion?
About 5 feet 5 inches.
I'm placing 28D on the Elmo. What are we looking at here in this photo?
This is the wall that the bunk bed was originally on. However, now the bunk bed has been moved away from the wall, and now you can see those T-scales on the wall.
We're looking at.
So they're saying the shots actually went down.
Is this just a
That makes
closer
more
of
sense.
the measurement we did earlier for the height of the bunk bed?
Yes.
Let me just have a moment to pull this really quick, please. I just have a moment to convert.
Yes.
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go.
Return. Scissors.
Yeah, down from the top bunk. Mm-hmm.
Cross?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Ms. Bader?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
Let's see what the
Crime scene
defense
technician
has.
At the Sheriff's Department?
I am.
You're doing that for quite a few years, correct?
Correct.
And you're not sworn law enforcement, but you are a civilian employee?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so pretty much your involvement in this case going to be limited to a lot of the things that you discussed with Ms. Rader?
Yes.
Right. So you basically were the main processor in the home, downstairs, staircase, and upstairs as well?
Yes.
Okay. And did anybody assist you at the time that you were doing all your work?
My partner, CSI Daniel Janicek.
She did a Pharaoh, right?
Yes.
And she did the diagram?
Yes.
Okay. And that's typical for you guys to divide up the work. You'll label, process everything, and she Pharaoh and diagram. That's typical?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So you've indicated that GSM is a red substance scale marker.
Yes.
Right. And then PM is a photo marker, just a photo marker. Is that item collected?
Yes.
It is, okay. And then YSM is a yellow scale marker. Is that just damage or is it an item collected as well?
Damage.
Just damage, okay. All right. First off, let's talk about phones. My understanding that there were 2 phones that you collected in this case, is that correct?
There were 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. So we have a blue iPhone that was found where?
The blue iPhone was on the couch downstairs.
Okay. And do you know whose phone that is?
No, I do not.
Okay. There was a red phone, looked like it was in a charger inside the children's room, correct?
Yes.
All right, so what are these other two phones?
There was the one that was evidence marker 15 that was in the backpack in the master bedroom, and then the Adidas bag. There was also a cell phone.
Okay, so there's two phones that are found in bags in the master bedroom. Do we know if those were even working, anything like that?
I do not know.
Okay. What, if anything, are you going to do with the blue iPhone that was on the couch?
Collect it, put it into evidence.
All right, any other processing would be done, downloading, things like that, by other people?
Correct.
All right. And did you ever do anything with a phone identified as belonging to Shirley Bass?
I do not know.
The phones you have mentioned, the one blue iPhone on the couch and the red phone upstairs in the kids' room. We have the two that are in either an Adidas bag or a backpack in the master bedroom in the closet. Is that the extent of any phones in this case?
Yes.
All right. All right, I want to go downstairs real quick. You have a green scale marker, A and B. A was a red substance on the living room floor,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right. And green scale marker B was on the living room couch.
Yes.
Okay. And did you know that Mr. Bass was sitting on that couch with his son?
No.
Okay. Basically, you're not that privy, nor are you told a lot of facts. You're there to document the scene.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
Did
smart.
you go upstairs?
Yes.
You do. All right. Now, you had marked a lot going up the stairs, correct?
Yes.
All right. And coming down as well?
Yes.
You saw anything else? Okay. If you are coming down that staircase, would you go near the area to get on the couch where you found green scale marker A on the floor? Here, let's put, all right, let us
Put it on the Elmo.
States 22A.
That's gonna be a new hit song. Put it on the Elmo.
All right, so this is our green scale marker here.
Yes.
All right, and that is going to be green scale marker A, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then we have, this is the couch we have been talking about, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Reeder showed you some chairs before. Those chairs are further down, separated from the main couch, closer to the glass slider. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you have, here again is my question, States Exhibit, we just cited green scale marker A. The staircase, best way to do this. Now I'm going to take my pen. Staircase is going to be this way.
No.
Okay, where's the staircase?
The other way, kind of in front of that pink Jeep.
What is it?
The pink Jeep all the way in the back.
The pink Jeep?
Yeah.
Okay. So the staircase
Is-
is this way.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. So this substance that you saw down here in green scale marker A, it was near
There you go,
this
World's
couch
End.
that I'm pointing to, which is the large couch with the evidence marker 1 on it.
Yes.
Okay. And when we say red substance A states 22B, just for the record, that's what we're speaking of, correct?
Yes, correct.
What, if any processing did you do on red substance A besides take a photograph and measure?
I collected a swab from it.
Right. Are you the one to determine what swabs would need to be sent off?
No.
Okay. Did you do anything, is there anything you could have done to preserve possibly a shoe print or a footprint?
Possibly.
Did anybody ask you to do such?
No.
All right, I want to talk about swabs that you took in the kids' room. From what everything that you testified to, it seems that on the top bunk itself, correct me if I'm wrong, the only real swab on the mattress itself would have been green scale marker O. Is that fair?
On the mattress itself?
On the mattress?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get to that. While I'm going up the stairs, 22H states exhibits, yellow evidence marker 3. Is this the gauze that you're speaking of?
Yes.
All right. Do we know the significance at all of this gauze?
I do not.
And there was also a clip that was on the couch downstairs?
Yes.
Like a clip you would have like a bandage on and you would clip it?
Yes.
Do you know why that was bothered to be collected?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Is somebody directing you what evidence to collect?
Yes.
All right. All right, so let's go back. If I put these out of order, you guys okay? All right, thank you. I'm trying not to, but. Let's look at this one. This is States Exhibit 22R. All right, and this, ooh, can't see it in that one. Hang on. Let's use this one. 22, S. All right. Our green scale marker O is going to be, and I'm pointing to the green scale marker, the sole green scale marker that's on the mattress.
Yes.
Got it. What are you actually documenting there? Are you documenting this stain, this stain, this stain? Is there a stain somewhere here I can't see? What stain are you documenting?
It's the pooling of blood above the green scale marker O.
Gotcha. So this area here?
Yes.
Okay. For the record, I'm pointing between the green
No, she
scale
calls it
marker
blood
O
now.
and the pillow. Is that there?
Yes.
All right. I'm trying to stay in the same topics. All right. Stakes 22Q. There are 3 red substances you're going to mark, and that is going to be L, M, and N. That is going to be on the ledge, and the ladder that is near the more eastern end of the bunk bed, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, there were some other blood stains, like, for example, we can see one that is to, let's say, the part that's right above the staircase, if that's fair. We see a little drip there. Granted, there's going to be maybe some other spots, but these are the ones that got marked. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. When you got there, Miss Bader, in the same exhibit that's up, this comforter, am I looking here, and I'm pointing to the right item, is this the Mandalorian comforter?
Yes.
Star Wars?
Yes.
I wouldn't know that. And then you have like a softer, smaller one, that's going to be Batman.
Yes.
And for the record, I'm just pointing to the one that's over to the left.
Yeah.
What processing at all are you going to do of the Batman?
The Batman, I just documented any holes that I observed.
All right, no holes.
There was holes in it, but
Do you think it was holes potentially from projectile that you had to be concerned
I
with?
couldn't say that for certain.
Okay. And the Mandalorian comforter?
Same thing, I documented the holes that I observed, and I took a swab of a red substance.
Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit later, because I do understand you do some additional work in this case involving that Mandalorian comforter?
Yes.
All right, we'll get to that since it's later in time. We'll keep that picture here. All right, and then you marked Q and R, which were the 2 things that were on side of the wall near the bottom bunk.
Yes.
Okay. Near where we saw the teddy bear.
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of L, M, and N, and then we have, let me go back for 1 minute. We had on the wall P, and here it is, States Exhibit 22R. I am pointing to P. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So besides L, M, and N on the ladder area and the ledge near the ladder, O, the one area on the mattress that you told us is the area between the green scale marker and the pillow. We have P, which is the wall we just looked at, and Q and R are the ones below.
Yes.
Is that the extent of the green scale markers you did inside this bedroom?
No.
Okay. What other ones did you do?
There's the one on the floor, there's the 2 in the doorway, and then one on the pillow,
Okay.
which is the pillow that was on the ground.
The pillow on the ground, right? I think we looked at that earlier.
Yes.
The little spot. Okay. All right. In terms of anything else on that mattress, more towards the east end, I'm going to see if I can find. Did you collect, let me strike back since I have this, 22II? That is a pink blanket on the bottom bunk.
Yes.
Near evidence marker 5, which is going to be a casing, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. Was this blanket collected?
It was not.
Did you do any processing on the pink blanket that's on the bottom bunk?
No.
Interesting.
22KK, is this the Mandalorian comforter that we are looking at in this state's exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. Now 8, 9, and 10, that's going to be 3 of the casings, correct?
Yes, correct.
And on top of the bed, we also have 6. So we have 4 casings on top,
Yes.
which are going to be 6, 8, 9, and 10. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Then we have the one on the bottom bunk, which is 5.
Yes.
All right. And what brands were these 5 casings?
There was Norma and Hornaday.
Norma and Hornaday. Okay, those are 2 different types of manufacturers?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to point now the best I can in the same state's exhibit. We have, for example, let's say I am in the northern part of the mattress. I am to the left of the Mandalorian comforter, and I'm pointing to some red spots on the bed. Was this swabbed at all?
No.
I am pointing over to some what appears to be red substance on the wall which will be the east wall. Is that correct, Ms. Bader?
Yes,
And it's also going to be then for the picture to the right of the Mandalorian comforter.
correct.
Did you swab that?
I did not.
I see some blood behind evidence markers 9 and 10 on the wall. Did you swab that blood?
What she's getting at?
And do you know how this comforter came to be in this position as we see it when you documented it?
I do not.
When you were looking at that Mandalorian comforter, we just looked at some areas of blood that were not swabbed. Aren't there a couple of other areas on the mattress of some blood around the comforter, like where it's folded, it'll lay this way and there'll be a little spot, that there was some additional blood?
Yes.
Okay. And that wasn't swabbed either?
No.
And for the record, that's all going to be on the east end of the bunk bed, the other side from the pillow.
Correct.
All right. All right. Let's talk. Let's talk about the items in the children's room. A standard procedure to take a picture of the casing.
Yes.
You're then going to take a close-up of it and all that, correct?
Yes, correct.
Y'all are
looking
getting
for
on
that,
her
I see
voice.
Another photo I'd like to ask you about, 22NN. We were just talking about some areas that were not swabbed. I see over here as well on the right side of the wall. Was that swabbed?
No.
And it looks like we can see a little bit clearer what's between 9 and 10 on the back of the wall above 9 and 10. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the same, that was not swabbed, correct?
Correct.
22RR. Of course, all these photos are taken right by you, correct?
Yes, correct.
There's an area here where we have the comforter under yellow evidence marker 11. I see some areas of blood here. The best I can describe is it's almost like I described earlier, in almost an area of a U shape where the comforter is going around it, semicircular. Do you see this area I'm speaking of?
Yes.
And it is near the back of the bunk bed, near the wall, near the frame. Was any of that swabbed?
No.
Okay. We can see some of the other red substance I was speaking of down on the lower right portion as well. This red substance
No GSR
here,
testing,
was that
no.
swabbed to determine whose blood that was?
No.
Okay. Same photograph over here on the back ledge of the bunk bed, which is gray up against the wall. We have an area right here. I am circling that. It is on the top ledge, just above, say, the right side of the comforter. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Did you swab that to determine whose blood that was?
No.
Okay.
And see, that's the thing. Obviously, these crime scene investigators are instructed on what they're supposed to get, but that doesn't mean they can't and couldn't have swabbed all of this extra blood and figured out where it came from and said, hey, we just took it. But I guess people don't, they're not going to go above and beyond in that way.
Over same exhibit, more towards the left of the comforter, or more west, we have an area here I am circling. Was that swabbed?
No.
We're on the same exhibit as well. We're getting up more towards the west end, over by where the pillow's going to be, and we have this area here. That's going to be below your damage B and your marker A. Is that correct?
Yes.
Close, close in that area. All of this blood here, do you know whose blood that is?
No.
Did you swab that?
No.
Okay. There's also some other
What?
areas that I see. I am pointing to below that amount of substance.
They didn't swab any of
Still
this.
again to the west and to the left of the Mandalorian comforter, pointing it out for the jury. Was that swabbed?
No.
22EEE. Is this the mattress in which was cut open to get the projectile out of it?
Yes.
22DD. Is that the mattress as you are taking the layers off to expose the projectile?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you have previously testified, have you not? And documented in your report, something different than you testified here today. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. How did you find out that you had made a mistake?
I misspoke when I was writing because we did bring it down to the bottom bunk, so I misspoke to say what mattress that was.
No worries. So when we are looking at the two exhibits, which is 22 EEE and DDD, is the same mattress.
Yes.
This is the mattress that was on the top bunk.
Correct.
That you got the projectile out of.
Correct.
Right. So when you testified under oath in your deposition and you wrote all throughout your report and property sheets that it was the projectile from the bottom bunk mattress, that was an error.
Correct. It was a misspokenness.
Okay. All right. Well, not just misspoken, it's in your reports too, right?
Right, but I'm saying
Okay.
the mattress that was on the bottom bunk that we brought down to the bottom bunk, but this was originally the top mattress.
Okay. Right.
Interesting.
And you documented your property receipts the same way, correct?
Correct.
Projectile from bottom bunk mattress.
Correct.
Very interesting. So we got another messed up report. Do they ever get reports right? Misspokenness? That's not even a word. Is that a word?
Picture here, 22 RRR. Talked about this a little bit ago. Blurry there. There we go.
Misspokenness?
I am pointing to the area
It's
of
not
red
a word.
substance on the west side of the bunk bed in this photograph that is below yellow marker B. We see the rod. We see yellow marker A and green scale marker P. Is that right? All right.
Yes.
This large substance here, was any of that tested to determine what child was in that area?
No.
22 SSS, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but on the eastern side, or to the right of the photograph, this area of red substance, that was swabbed?
No.
Okay. And no swab is done to determine which child's potential blood that may be, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Come
all right.
on, CSI.
Okay.
Misspokenness sounds good, but nah. Yeah, we don't do that here. It was my misspokenity. It wasn't actually incorrect. Come on, man.
All right, so I want to talk now about what was recovered in the children's closet. I am going to show you what was marked for identification as Defense Exhibit 1. Ask you if you recognize this.
Yes.
Okay. And did you take that photograph?
Yes, I did.
And you processed and collected some of the items that were in that photograph, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move Defense Exhibit 1 into evidence and ask to publish.
All right, will be received.
Thank you.
I don't have an objection to any of the photos.
Okay. All right. So Defense Exhibit 1, is this the closet in the
Thank you,
children's
Jacqueline.
bedroom?
Yes.
And you located a purse. Give us an idea approximately, because I see a lot of things in the closet. Give me an idea where that purse is in this picture.
You can actually see the bag. It's that
That item.
the brown suede.
Okay. Let's say like right under the arm of what looks like a suede or leather jacket.
Yes.
Is that fair? Okay. Now, did you collect that purse?
The purse, no.
Why?
I was not instructed to do so.
Nobody told you to collect it.
Correct.
So you don't know whose purse that even is.
Correct.
Now, there were some items inside that, however, you did collect.
Correct.
States 22, UUU. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that in fact the purse we were just speaking of with some items placed on top of it?
Yes.
And for the record, marked by evidence marker 19.
Yes.
Is that kind of marking everything in that photograph?
Yes.
Right. So tell me what we're looking at in this photo.
This is the holster. There's a magazine and a box of ammunition.
Now that ammunition that we see here, just in case you need to refresh yourself, I have zoomed in on the state's exhibit. Please tell the jury what box of ammunition, what caliber you view from that purse.
Here we
A
go.
Norma 380 auto.
And go ahead.
And you see, oh boy. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. We're gonna let it keep
Tell us,
going.
Miss Bader, if you don't mind, what are these other two items? One looking a little gold and one black. What are these?
A magazine and a holster.
Do you know what type of firearm can fit that magazine?
I do not.
What, if any, processing did you do with the box of ammo, the holster, or the magazine?
I did not process that.
The firearm that you collected in this case was a .380, correct?
It was a Glock 42.
Glock 42. It's .380 caliber.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a nice gun. And again, they don't know what happened here. All they know is, oh, okay, well, hey, we're going to go and we're going to swab here, swab there. We're going to see if we can figure out what happened. But they're not aware of what's going on and what the police saw and what happened and what they did. So it's interesting.
States 22P. This is what we have kind of called the baby's bassinet. This was in the children's room.
Yes.
Not too far from the bunk bed, correct?
Correct.
All right. And it is evidence, yellow evidence marker 7. What am I looking at here, Miss Bader?
It is a piece of a gun holster clip.
What does it do? What does that do?
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay. Do you don't know if, like, you cover the gun with it or you cover the
I'm pretty
magazine?
sure it clips off onto a holster, but
Plays passive
not an
aggressive
expert.
AF.
Okay, all right. And then we see next to it what looks like a piece of chicken that may have been eaten in some sort of, styrofoam bowl. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. What, if any, processing did you do with this clip, would you call it?
Yes.
Clip? What processing did you do with that clip that is found in the baby's bassinet, in a baby bassinet in the kids' room?
I did not process that.
They took
And
a
this
picture.
is located, states 22C. It says C. That was located not far from the bunk bed, correct?
Correct.
You had mentioned earlier an area of blood on the floor. That's kind of an area in which first responders put Jayla down. Were you aware of that?
I do not know that.
All right. And then you had seen a drop or two on a pillow that was on the ground.
Correct.
Then there was some potentially, like on the door jamb and on the door coming in and out of this bedroom.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so do you collect the box of .380 ammo, the magazine, and the holster in evidence marker 19?
Yes.
Okay, but not the purse.
Correct.
Okay. Did you look inside the purse, inside the pockets to determine whose purse it was?
That was not my job.
Understood. Did Detective Holbelman have any involvement with this lady's purse and the items inside of it?
Not that I can recall.
Okay, all right. Does he have to like handle the ammo or anything like that?
No.
Okay, all right. So you were the one that collected it, well, not the purse, but the items inside. Put it in
She said, well,
evidence,
not
and you
the
know
purse.
processing on it. That was
Dang.
you.
Yes.
Under the direction of Detective Holbelman.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so basically in this case, you had projectile, like a hole in the wall, which you marked as A, correct?
Correct.
And that's going to be a yellow scale marker?
Yes.
Okay, so we had yellow scale marker A. That goes through the bathroom wall, which is going to be marked A1.
Yes.
Okay. Then it goes through the shower curtain,
Yes.
which is marked A2. And then A3, it ends up in the shower wall.
She
Yes.
did, Kara, right
Now,
after I typed it.
That projectile was fairly damaged or squished, as we would describe it.
Yes.
Okay, do you know the caliber of that projectile as you sit here today?
I do not.
Okay. Now, in terms
happened
of
to
B, the marking on the bed frame, there was green scale marker B.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yellow.
Yes.
Okay, here, let me put a picture up. 22RRR. And this is a good one because it's got the rod in it. So, damage B, because here's our A we just talked about, and our damage B. When you originally documented and spoke with us, did you believe that damage B went through and through the bunk bed?
When I originally documented it, yes.
Oh, here
So
we
did
go.
Detective Holbelman, right?
Yes.
Here we go.
All right. So basically what damage B is, and I use the word nick or damage.
Okay.
It does not extend into the ledge here, and I'm pointing to the ledge above damage B, nor does that specific lineup go into the wall, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, So it's now labeled B, but then you have B1 and B2 that you originally labeled with Detective Holman, correct?
Correct.
Right. B1 was believed to be a hole behind the wall, which I see here with the rod.
Yes.
Right? Okay. All right. So originally you guys thought that B had went through the bunk bed into the hole, which would be B1, and then into the wall in the bathroom, B2.
Correct.
All right. You then later determined at some point that B
Ricochet,
is
yeah.
unrelated to B1 and B2.
Yes.
Okay. Same photograph still up. Again, that rod here. Am I presuming then that where that goes into is going to be the hole in the wall, and it'll be now B1?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Interesting.
And coming to rest, 22 VVV, this is the area in which you were able to recover that projectile.
Yes.
All right. How's the condition of that one, which is B1 and B2?
Good.
Much better than the other one?
Yes.
Okay. Besides the projectile in the mattress and the projectile, the two from the bathroom, any other projectiles anywhere near the children's room or into the bathroom?
No.
Okay. And the children's bathroom, or the side bathroom, not the master, that's going to be on the wall behind the children's bunk bed, right?
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, this is interesting. So they updated
Master bedroom. You were talking
their
a lot about items
findings.
found in the master bedroom. Let's talk about that. First of all, you did not find any blood or any damage in the master bedroom, correct?
Correct.
Now, you collected quite a bit in the master bedroom. Let's go over that. One thing you collected was on top of the dresser in the master bedroom, and that was a live round of a 9mm Luger.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so it's not a .380 caliber.
Correct.
All right. And in fact, you can't shoot a 9mm bullet in a .380, correct?
That's not for me to determine.
All right. Well,
What? So there was more than one gun fired.
we'll check with other people later. All right, next. S&W Mag R spent casings in the Adidas bag. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
All right. So spent, what does that mean, Miss Vader?
That means the bullet has been fired.
So maybe somebody had went to a gun range and brought the casings home?
It's possible.
I don't know, something like that. All right. S&W Mag R, are those like rifles? Is that a shotgun? Is it just a larger caliber? What is that?
I do
What
not
is
know.
going on here?
You collected that?
Yes.
All right. And in fact, that's what we saw where you had a piece of brown paper down and you had all the items from the master bedroom on that.
Yes, correct.
All right. Also in the Adidas bag was 9mm Lugal toll ammo, again, spent casings. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
All right. Also in the Adidas bag, we had 9mm Luger toll ammo, NFCR spent casings. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
All right. Then we had 9mm Luger loose live rounds in that same dresser.
Yes.
All right.
What is
So
going on here?
it looks like there are no items in the master bedroom that are of .380 caliber, correct?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. The only .380 caliber was the items in the purse in the child's bedroom closet.
As far as I know.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know you answered. I apologize. I looked away. All right. Did you have any information, or were you aware that Mr. Bass has a permit to carry concealed?
I did not know that.
Okay. Would that involve anything in which you were processing?
No.
Okay. Now, we have two adults that live in that house and share that master bedroom. Can you tell us all of these items that are not .380 caliber, that you collected from the master bedroom? Do they belong to Mr. Bass, Mrs. Bass? Do we know?
I couldn't tell you.
And do you do any processing of all
This
those
trial
items that were
started on
found in the
Monday.
master bedroom? Besides the gun?
No.
Covering stuff. Give me look at my notes. I don't want to have to repeat things I've already asked you. Now, the damage that we talked about a little bit ago in the bathroom, where we have the B1 and B2, and then we have the A1, 2, and 3, you cannot say for sure that is related to this incident, correct?
Correct.
But you have to document what you see, correct?
Correct.
The shower curtain, in which was part of projectile A, I believe it was A2, where it had went through the shower curtain, was there an accompanying hole there?
Yes.
Was it collected?
Yes, the one in the A3 you're talking about? Yes.
Okay.
Was the shower curtain collected?
No.
Okay. The magazine clip that we looked earlier, I may have asked you this, let me know. The magazine clip in the baby bassinet, you wasn't quite sure how it was used, correct? It was in the pink bassinet. No swab, no prints done, nothing on that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. You
How
did
did this
attempt to
happen?
lift prints off the firearm that you located, the .380 caliber, or Glock 42, inside the drawer of the master bedroom, is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you able to lift any prints?
Yes.
Or take photographs?
Photographs, yes.
Okay. Do you know any results?
I do not.
And you do not handle that, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now that Glock 42, which is a .380 caliber, you did swab it for potentially DNA.
I did.
Did you note any red substance at all on it anywhere?
Not that I can recall.
And what areas of that Glock 42 did you swab?
It would have been the grip and the trigger, the slide and the sights, the barrel, and the magazines.
Okay. Typically to do if you have a firearm?
Yes.
I'm going to talk about now defense. Let's start with this. Defense 2A and B. Okay. Defense 2A. What am I looking at here, Miss Bader?
This is an interior view of the front door.
Okay. And I see some potential red substance on that. What, if anything, did you do with this potential red substance that is on the back of the front door?
I photographed it.
Okay. This area down here, did you potentially note any pattern potentially for fingerprints?
No.
Okay. You didn't note any pattern, or you tried, couldn't get any?
I did not know.
All right. There was,
Why?
in fact, also some red substance on the door handle itself, correct?
I do not recall that.
All right, we have defense 2B.
To be.
More closer photo you also took.
She's so excited
Any
to be
objection to their
here.
admission?
Oh, she had said no.
All right, they'll be received.
Sorry about that, Judge.
That's all right.
All right, we have some area down here as well that we can see better in defense 2B. Does that appear to be red substance?
It's a discoloration.
And these are the other two areas. Were you able to, you didn't swab these?
No.
Okay, why not?
To me, it was discoloration on the other side of the door.
Okay. Discoloration, but we do not know because you did not take a swab, correct?
Correct.
Defense 2C. What am I looking at here, Miss Bader?
This is the back sliding glass door.
Okay. I am looking at this child's, what appears to be a child's like car toy that's pink, and it says sunshine on it. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. There's some red substance, I don't know what it is, right here in this area. For the record, I'm taking my pen and I'm just circling a little area of some red here on the child's car. Do you see what I'm speaking of?
I do.
Okay. Was that processed at all?
No, looking closer at it did not determine to be paint.
But you did not
She
swab
said
it,
the
is that
door
correct?
was old and the floor was dirty.
And this is the sliding glass door, so it's much further down the living room from the couch.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Because we had the couch first, and then we had the chair that had the two seats.
Yes.
Then we had the child's toy.
Yes.
All right.
All right, C will be admitted.
I don't have anything. Just checking my notes, Miss Bader. Bear with me. All right. So let's talk about some work that you did in March of 2024. What were you asked to do in March of 2024?
I was asked to examine the Mandalorian blanket as well as the Batman blanket, and I was swabbing a area on the Mandalorian blanket.
And why were you swabbing an area? What were you swabbing it for?
I was swabbing a red substance that I had done a phenolphthalein test on, which tested positive for the presumption of blood.
Well, you did more than that, didn't you?
I took photographs.
Okay. Didn't you swab or look for possible
So
GSR?
that's barbecue sauce? Oh my gosh.
So when you have the Mandalorian comforter, how many areas did you test phenolphthalein for potential blood?
In this one, I was requested for the area number 6.
Okay, area number 6?
Yes.
Right. And who was marking those? Were you marking areas at the scene, or is that done later?
It's done later.
Okay, do you do it back at headquarters?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you had a positive on area 6.
Yes.
Right? Took a swab for DNA.
Yes.
Took photographs.
Yes.
Right. Now, in terms of possible GSR, tell us about the camera that you used and the light source to try to bring out the GSR.
Sure, so I used 2 cameras. One was called a Fuji IR, which only deals with IR, which is how you're able to see possible gunshot residue. And then we have a Crime Light Auto,
No
which is
GSR,
basically a
right.
newer version of technology that is also able to have the IR filter, and you can see it through that as well.
Okay. So you took how many swabs? Are you going to take swabs, or are you just going to
No.
have these photographs?
Just photographs.
All right. So do you know the results as to whether there was any GSR on the Mandalorian comforter?
I do not.
Okay. And Ms. Fader, was it the Mandalorian comforter and the Batman blanket?
Just the Mandalorian.
Why wouldn't they test for that when it's a
That was a
shooting?
request by Detective Clay Holman.
Holman? Okay. And I know it goes without saying, but what is GSR?
Gunshot residue.
Okay, and that's residue that may be left if a gun is shot or a person's holding a gun or in the area of a gun.
Yes, correct.
Were you asked to do anything else to test for GSR in this case?
No.
You don't do anything
Crazy.
with Miss Jayla Bass herself, correct?
No.
you don't
And this
attend
happens all the time.
No.
Okay. May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
Wow. So sad. You think if exactly, you would think if shots were fired, you would automatically test for GSR. Especially if you don't know what happens. Like, hey, come here. We need to get a swab real quick. Crazy.
When we were talking about the processing on the Mandalorian comforter with the ultraviolet light, what does IR mean? Please tell the jury.
Infrared.
So there was 2 different things you did to try to see if you could visualize the GSR.
Yes, just 2 different cameras.
And you collected a wallet at the scene?
Yes.
Okay. And did you collect the items inside the wallet?
Yes.
Okay. And inside the wallet, I think you saw a driver's license of Mr. Bass, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And in that wallet was his carry concealed permit for firearms. Do you remember that?
I do not recall.
Did you take photographs of everything inside the wallet?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor. Oh, sorry.
All right.
Defense counsel was asking you about some of the other live rounds that were found in the master bedroom. And she asked you wouldn't be able to determine who they belonged to. Do you remember that?
Correct.
And you agreed with her they could have belonged to the wife Shirley or the defendant. You remember that?
Yes, correct.
Now, along with the opposing counsel kept calling it a women's purse, but the bag that was found in the children's bedroom, do you remember what it looked like? It was leather and it looked like it had 2 straps on it like a backpack?
Yes.
So would you be able to determine who the owner of that backpack was?
No.
So you have no idea sitting here today or when that backpack was found and you photographed who owned it or who used it often, right?
Correct.
Would you have been able to determine from where it was found or the photographs that you took who brought that backpack into the kid's bedroom and hid in that closet?
No.
Now, when you take an item like a firearm into evidence and secure it and swab it, help us understand. Do you swab the same areas every time for DNA?
With guns, typically, yes.
Tell the jury exactly where do you typically take swabs from on a firearm?
So with the guns, we take separate swabs. We'll do a grip and trigger swab, slide and sights, the magazine, and then the barrel.
Now, when you're talking about the slide and sights, I feel like grip is probably self-explanatory, the same with trigger. But when you're talking about slide and sights, help us understand what portion of the firearm are you talking about?
So the slide and sights, the slide is the top of the gun that you would pull back, and then the sights are the little dots on top that you use to help line up your shot.
So we have the slide, the sights, the
I thought she didn't know about
and the
guns.
handle. Specifically, what portion of the handle are we talking about here?
She knows all that, but she doesn't know if a 380 can shoot 9mm. Hey, come on. All right.
The trigger, the grip. Sorry.
The
Repeat that.
handle.
That's what we're
part of the
doing
handle?
today.
Oh, the top part.
Okay. Now, You were shown several photos of the top bunk of the children's bedroom, and your
Interesting.
attention was directed to several areas of red substance. Help the jury understand, as a crime scene investigator who has done this hundreds of times, how do you decide what area or what substance to swab and what area or what substance does not need to be swabbed?
So in certain areas, there can
Selective
be a lot
gun
of blood in the
speculation,
scenes. It
amnesia.
depends. We have had blood, me specifically, I've had blood stain training that
That's
you are able
crazy.
to, I can't state what a specific blood stain is, but I could kind of tell what it is, and based on that, you determine which areas of substances from each area should be taken, not necessarily each blood swab.
When you are being trained on to be a crime scene investigator, it's help us understand. Is it like you can take an infinite amount of swabs per crime scene that you attend?
No.
Okay, help us understand. What are the parameters that you're given when you go to a crime scene and you're being instructed and taught during this blood stain instruction of how to swab and where to swab?
So we work with the crime scene detective, and we determine with them what areas of, because they also know more at the time than we do, and we just kind of walk through and determine the areas that are, that should be swabbed. Yeah. And then any areas back at crime scene is just kind of like how we process things, like the gun is typical of taking those areas to swab.
At one point, you were shown a picture of a pink and purple blanket that was located on the bottom bunk of the children's bunk bed. Do you recall that photo?
Yes.
It looks like a little girl's blanket.
Yes.
Did you notice anything specific on that blanket, like shell casings on top of it or red substance on top of it?
Not that I recall.
So did you locate anything of evidentiary value on that blanket on the bottom bunk?
No.
May I have just a moment, Judge?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
All right.
Can I ask one quick question?
Sure.
I promise it's only one. Ms. Reeder described the item that you found in the child's bedroom as a backpack. You, in fact, in your report and throughout your deposition, referred
There's a
to
report
it as
again.
a purse, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice try.
Anything else?
Ain't no backpack.
All right, you can step down, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
She released from her subpoena?
Yes, sir. We would ask that she just remain under subpoena.
All right.
I will say Jermaine had some good. He had
Everybody
some
good?
good attorneys.
All right, call your next witness.
Judge, we need a quick access.
Approach the bench for a minute.
Our scene detective is next. And I think
So it looks like we might be close to the end of day one. So we're getting there, y'all. We're getting caught up.
Detective is next. He'll probably be at least.
And no word from the
Start
jury
back.
yet.
The lead detective is next. He'll probably be at least an hour for testimony and work another hour. Or would you like to go home for the day?
Go home.
Don't worry, I won't ask you this very often, but we're just for timing purposes I didn't want to take a break if you really would prefer just to get an early start anyway. You want to go home early because of the traffic and everything?
Yeah, they want to go home. We all know how this is going to end. What do y'all think so far? Wow, that CSI investigation, very, very interesting. There were some spent shell casings in the bag, holes that were there before, the trajectory of the bullet. A lot of questions unanswered. Let me know what y'all think about this so far in the comments and in the chat. We're going to go ahead and get into day two. Are y'all ready? Y'all ready to get into day two? I need to show some love to everybody who dropped the super chats in there too. First of all, shout out to Rhonda. Let me make sure I get this right. Hold on a second. There we go. Shout out to Rhonda over on the Cash App. She dropped the 10 bomb showing some love. Thank you so much for the support, Rhonda. I appreciate it. We've also got Jacqueline over there dropping the 5 bomb. No comment, just showing some major love and support. I appreciate you. Also, shout out to the World's End with the 10 pounds. I got it right that time. With the 10 pounds. He says a big thank you to Amy E for insisting this case be covered. Shout out to Amy. And Classy for listening. The chat has awesome people Chat has awesome people all with thought to those poor children. Okay. I'm having trouble interpreting that, but I appreciate you sending in the super chat and saying that we're awesome. The chat is awesome. I'll be in the chat sometimes, but y'all make this a great place to be. And thank you, World's End, for the super chat as well. We've also got Slim Life in here, just showing some love with the 5 bomb. Thank you so much. And today is also Amber Rain's birthday. So make sure y'all tell Amber Rain happy birthday. And shout out to the World's End. Also says you're doing a great job for us. Part 1, part I don't want to hear, a bigger part I want to know. Yeah, I feel you there. And I want to look at this poll in here too. So most of you think if you were on the jury, you would say 74% of you would say that he's guilty. 26% of you would say not guilty. Right now, I have a lot of unanswered questions. And the fact that there's no GSR, we don't know who fired the gun, which is insane. Absolutely insane. But let's go ahead and get into day 2. I'm going to update this headline. We'll go ahead and get into it. Here we go.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please step this way.
Thank you, Slim Life.
Good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
My name is Robert A. Durr III. My last name is spelled D-E-R.
Thank you.
Mr. Durr, how are you employed?
I'm a crime scene investigator with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been working as a crime scene investigator with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Almost 18 years.
It's a long time.
What are your general typical duties as a crime scene investigator with the Sheriff's Office?
So I respond to persons and property crimes where I document through photographs or other measurements possibly, and collect evidence as it relates to those types of crimes.
As part of those duties, do you from time to time attend autopsies as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and what do you do when you attend an autopsy?
I take photographs and then I collect any potential evidence that might be located by the medical examiners.
And by potential evidence, you mean things like maybe clothing or objects that are removed from the body, things of that nature?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to show you what's already been introduced to State's Exhibits 28B. And just if you can take a quick look at those, and you can open it. They're already open, so you can go and just see. In this particular case, or do you recognize those?
Yes, sir.
And what are they?
They're the projectiles that I recovered.
All right, and so when you were at the scene in this particular case, you took photos?
Yes, sir.
And you collected those projectiles?
Yes, sir.
Were you present when those projectiles were removed from the body?
Yes, sir.
All right, and you observed them take them out?
Yes, sir.
And so then do you photograph and document them being taken out?
Yes, sir.
And then you collect them yourself?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me publish. Okay, I'm going to start with specifically 20A.
Yeah, the timeline's coming. Let's wait for it.
Okay, and that in fact, you were there when that was removed from the body of Jayla Bass?
Yes, sir.
And you observed them and you took photos of it and then you collected it and took it into evidence?
Yes, sir.
Dang.
Now, besides that one projectile, did they also recover some fragments from inside Jayla Bass's body?
Yes, sir.
All right, now I'm going to show you 20B again, which has already been admitted into evidence. I'm just going to show them this way. So they're very small, correct?
Yes, sir.
And these are, in fact, what is taken out of the body, and they've been described as fragments of a projectile. What would that be? What are fragments?
So fragments could be anything that separated off of a projectile. It could be where it was damaged or anything, maybe split apart as it was entering.
Okay, so this is most likely from the same projectile that came into the body?
I couldn't be specific on that, but
Okay.
Yeah, no.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Judge, we'll pass witness.
All right. Cross.
Good morning, Mr. Durr.
good morning.
Now, you did go out to the crime scene, right, and assist with the scene there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you didn't collect any evidence yourself?
That's correct.
And then you ended up being tasked with following
He's a
up with
supervisor.
attending the autopsy in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, routinely, when a body is received by the medical examiner's office, the hands are typically bagged, is that right?
A lot of times, but not always. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why are the hands bagged?
To protect anything that might potentially be on there.
And that is typical of what happens, like at the scenes that you've been out in, where there's been a body at the scene, that the medical examiner's office will bag the hands when they're there.
Yes, ma'am.
In this case, when you attended the autopsy, was there any swabbing done of Jayla's hands?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, and then sometimes GSR testing is requested by the detectives, is that right?
Sometimes, yes, ma'am.
And in this case, that was not done.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Anything else?
Okay,
All right,
wow,
you can
that was
sit down,
quick.
sir, thank you. He released from his subpoena?
Jeez, they got him up out of there.
All right. Call your next witness.
State calls Detective Clay Holman. Oh, actually, Judge, can we call Cheyenne Miley first, please?
Raise your right hand, please.
Sorry
Do you
about that,
solemnly
y'all.
swear or affirm that testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
I don't know what that sound is. Sorry, y'all.
Hi, good morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Good morning. It's Cheyenne Wheaton. I'm sorry, Cheyenne Miley. It was Wheaton during it's an investigation. I apologize. It's Shyanne. Last
Oh,
name
she
Miley,
murdered.
Miley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell the jury where you work.
I work for Hillsborough. Sorry, can you hear me? I work for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office as a detective with our homicide section.
How long have you been working at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I've been with the Sheriff's Office for almost 8 years, and I've been with our homicide section for almost 3.
So on the night of this event, August 29th of 2022, were you working with the homicide department as a detective?
I was.
What part did you play in this investigation for why we're here today, the events of August 29th of 2022?
The lead detective, Detective Gabo, asked me to pick up some additional video surveillance from a
Is that
residence near
Bobby
the incident
Alton?
scene.
What residence did you go to?
That's
It was off
funny.
Heritage Club Drive. The numerical, I believe,
slow this
was
down a little bit, y'all.
13937.
Okay, and I'm showing you, once it's already been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 6, but I want you to look at it. Do you recognize it?
I do.
When you went and you pulled the video, help us understand what process do you go through when you're pulling a video from a surveillance camera that maybe at a residence versus maybe a business?
Well, I meet with the resident, confirm that we're allowed to view their video, obtain their video, at which point she did say that she was willing to provide the video with us. I checked the date and timestamp on the live video with what I have on real time, so whether that's me checking my phone or my watch, and ensure that the date and timestamp on the video surveillance is in fact correct.
I'm not a
So
fan
when
of
you went to
380s
this
either.
residence in Heritage Grove Apartments and you looked at the video surveillance, the timestamp, compared it to your phone, what did you find out?
I saw that the date was accurate, but the time was about 1 minute behind real time. So if, like, the time right now is 9:33, so the time on the video surveillance was showing 9:32, just for an example.
The videos that you pulled that are on what you've seen and identified as State's Exhibit 6, does it include the relevant time frame from the entire incident?
Yes, it does.
I don't have any further questions, Judge.
All right.
No question.
All right. You can
Oh,
sit
that
down.
was it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
She released from her subpoena?
Yes, Judge. Cheers, Judge.
All right, thank you. Call your next witness.
The state calls Detective Clay Holman.
They're not wasting any time in this one. But this also isn't a RICO. So,
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Come this way. Morning again. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Yes, ma'am. The name is Clay Hobelman. First name is Clay, C-L-E-Y. Last name is Hobelman, H-O-B-E-L-M-A-N-N.
I see you, Clay.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Tell the jury where you work.
I work with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I have worked there over 14 years now.
What's your title now?
I'm a detective with the Sheriff's Office.
Were you a detective on August 29th to August
Detective
30th of
Bowtie.
2022?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
At that time, did you have a specific unit or department that you were working with?
More broadly, I'm assigned to Criminal Investigations Division, and then more narrowly, I'm in the homicide section.
Help us understand, as a detective in the homicide section, what are your duties?
We investigate a number of different cases, exclusively homicides, as the name would suggest, but we also investigate cases that include any natural deaths through suicides, overdoses, and then we have a couple other assignments that we will assist on if they're kidnappings. So we do a broad range of things, and then we will also cover for other criminal investigation units as well to assist in their investigations.
During a homicide investigation, is there just one detective that's decided to be involved in the investigation, or are there multiple?
Generally, we have no less than three for three specific and designated roles, and then we may also have other detectives assisting those primary three roles.
Explain to the jury so that they understand what is the purpose of having at least the three detectives involved in each homicide investigation.
Those three roles are going to include your lead detective, who is responsible for a majority of the
So you can all get on the same page.
activities or requirements for the investigation. You have your assist that is working in tandem with your lead investigator, and then you also have a scene detective or scene investigator whose responsibility is managing the scene and understanding all the facts of the scene, and then working with the lead investigator throughout the remainder of the investigation.
When you are a detective working with the homicide department, do you typically perform one of these duties of lead, assist, or scene at every single homicide that you go out to, or does it differ?
Yes, in every one of those cases, at least those three roles are assigned. As individual detectives, we may be assigned one role for one investigation, and we may shift to a different role for another investigation. But at least those three roles are always covered in every assignment or in every investigation that we go out to.
So since you became a detective in the homicide department of Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, have you had occasions where you were the lead detective?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you also had occasions where you were the scene detective?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in this case involving the defendant Jermaine Bass, on August 29th, August 30th of 2022, tell the jury what your role was in this homicide investigation.
I was assigned as the scene detective.
When you say scene detective, I understand you just explained that it was walking around documenting the scene. Let's get into the more detailed part of what exactly you do. So let's say you're called out to a scene, you're given the role of scene detective. Walk the jury through what you generally do when you are assigned to be the scene detective for a homicide.
So the scene detective is responsible for, first and foremost, the scene, the location where the incident is happening, as well as any secondary, tertiary locations that might be included. It might include vehicles. It's essentially everything that is going to be a physical portion of the investigation. Generally speaking, our scene detective is responsible for. That could include writing all of the search warrants for those physical locations or addresses. That includes the searching of those locations, and that includes the documentation, both collection of evidence as well as documenting through photographs, taking photographs, overseeing that the proper photographs are being taken.
So I understand that at a homicide investigation, there's at least three positions that are assigned. But is it safe to say that homicide detectives are generally not the first people to respond to, for instance, shots called that call that comes in to 911?
Yes, that's fair. Generally, deputies are going to be our first responding units coming to that call to kind of assess what is happening there and make a determination as to the additional investigation that is required. And at that time, then phone calls are being made to request either homicide come out or special victims units come out, whatever detectives might be an assist to that investigation.
Once homicide detectives are sent to an investigation scene, are they first apprised by the deputies of what they saw when they first arrived?
Yes, usually to some extent there is some foreknowledge of what is happening at the scene or what has happened or has been observed. It may come through deputies, it may come through supervisors, but generally speaking, when we do arrive at a scene, we have some idea of what has been done at the scene or what we may be facing at the scene.
Based on the information that you're given, when you first arrive to a homicide scene, does that information and what you're told
affect some of the decisions or the direction that you're documenting or your investigation of the scene? Does that information affect the decisions you make at the scene?
Yes, I would say it does. I think that as one of the responsibilities of the scene detective, you're not only doing that documentation and trying to get an overall objective understanding of what may have happened there, but you're obviously going to be contrasting the information that you're getting. First, your initial information of what is coming through your dispatch call. Secondly, your information that you're getting once you arrive to the scene and talk to your deputies or you're talking to some of those supervisors. And then throughout the investigation, our scene detectives stay in contact with the lead investigator who's out doing their interviews, who's out collecting video surveillance, and is getting a working knowledge of what's happening outside of that house. And they are in constant communication with the scene detective to try to determine what things might be of special importance or value within that residence.
When you became involved in the investigation of this case, were you given information by other deputies when you arrived about what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
What were you told?
We were told that there...
It's effective
not-
listener, Judge. He
it's not
explained that he was
hearsay.
given information at the scene, and from that information, he makes certain decisions at the scene of what document and what not to document.
Well, I have no idea what was said at this time, so sustained.
Can
Wow.
we approach the bench to confer, Judge?
Sure.
I don't see how that's hearsay. It's what was told to him. It's pretty straightforward. All right, they're going to argue a little bit. Boy, that's a sight right there. Leave that alone.
After you received information about what the other deputies saw or heard when they first arrived, what did you decide to do next?
For this investigation, I collected information from the deputies that were there at the scene and used some of that information as well as some observations we were able to make just from the outside of the residence to complete a search warrant for that residence.
Explain to the jury what a search warrant is and what it means.
A search warrant is a document that we use in an event that we may be recovering evidence from that location or from a person or from a general area or even potentially from a cell phone in which we think that might be evidence of the case and of which somebody may not be willing or voluntarily wanting us to enter into that location or enter into that cell phone device. For a search warrant, we need probable cause, which is essentially a probability that there is evidence in that location, be it a phone, be it a residence, that we would need for our investigation.
Thank you,
We
Perfect
use
Peace.
a combination of our own observations as well as observations of other fellow deputies or detectives to put information into that document explaining why we feel that we need to go into that residence and collect evidence or potentially collect photographs, anything that may be of value for our investigation. That has to be signed by the state attorney's, or excuse me, approved by the state attorney's office and signed by a judge saying, yes, you're allowed to go into that location to do whatever you need to do for your investigation.
So
Sure.
in this investigation, you obtained a search warrant. Did you search the entirety of the townhome involved in this case?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
So after that, did you begin documenting the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, as a part of documenting the scene, are you, as the scene investigator or detective, are you responsible for actually taking the photos and actually placing the evidence markers, or do you work with someone else to help you do that?
We work with our crime scene investigations department or our CSI department.
Now, in this case, did that include crime scene investigator Shannon Bader?
Yes, ma'am.
When
I don't know why
you
the feed's making that noise. Sorry,
first
y'all.
walked into the townhome, what did you see of relevance when you first walked in? And I'm putting on the Elmo 22A.
Within entering the residence, the door opens inward and we come into a foyer area that has a kitchen just off the side of it. Beyond that, there's a dining room area, and then a little further beyond that, there's a TV room area or an entertainment room, I guess, or living room space. On that location or at that location is a black couch, and we noted what we believed was going to be some blood on the edge of that couch or the side cushion of that couch, as well as a small metal item that looks like a clasp or a toothed clasp. That, just based on my familiarity with them, looks like the kind of clasp that's used to secure an elastic bandage or an ace bandage with those little teeth that kind of bite into the fabric.
Now, once you go up the stairs,
Said they're
what's the
gonna
first
sound from
bedroom
the
that you see
basketball
up
court.
on top of the stairs?
That's crazy.
The first bedroom you come to when you are ascending the stairs is going to be what we determined was the children's bedroom.
Yes, he
Now,
was sitting on the
seats
couch with him.
22R and facing on the Elmo. Are we looking at the top bunk in 22R, or are we looking at the bottom bunk?
This would be the top bunk, ma'am.
Okay, we're looking at the back of the photo. You can see a sticker that is on the wall, right about the middle that I'm pointing to right here. It's a yellow sticker labeled Damage A. We see another sticker labeled Damage B. And we see another green sticker, which we see labeled red substance. I want to specifically talk about damage A and damage B. What wall are we looking at that we're pointing to where damage A sticker is labeled on? What is on the other side of this wall?
On the other side of that wall is going to be a bathroom.
Now, I'm placing,
Scratching records.
one moment, I'm sorry.
Y'all are crazy. Someone said they have a DJ in their courtroom.
I'm trying not to get the photos out of order, but I can't make any promises. I'm placing 22.
Shout out to Serratos.
On the elbow. Tell us to the right over here, what room is this? You can see like a small, maybe what, a quarter of an inch opening, and it looks like it's going into a room. Explain to the jury what room that this is going in.
So the darkened margin on the right side of your photograph as you're looking at it is going to be the darkened space just because of the lighting at that time of the children's bedroom or of the kid's bedroom, where that same bunk bed we just saw in the previous photograph would be located.
Once we're inside the bathroom that's depicted in 22Z, I'm placing 22 double A on the Elmo. Is this a closer up image of that exact same wall? And am I correct in pointing to the yellow marker on A1 to the right? It's labeled damage A1. Is that the same wall, the back side of the wall, belonging to damage A?
Yes, ma'am.
And for reference, I'm putting back on the Elmo 22R.
So that would be
The Elmo
this
is a
one?
little fuzzy, if you can give it just a minute. So the damage we're seeing right here in 22A.
Yeah, this one.
Is it your testimony from what you saw? It goes through the wall and exits in damage A1 that we're seeing on 22 double A on the right over here.
Yes, ma'am, that is our belief. There is a space in just the normal construction space
That's their
between those
belief.
two
Do y'all
walls.
agree?
But yes, it would appear, based on some other continued observations that we make once we get to A2 and A3, that that's going to be one continuous trajectory of a projectile going through the wall.
Now, you explained earlier that you were working with the homicide unit as a detective for quite some time. About how many times at the time of this incident had you been assigned to be a scene detective?
Probably in excess of 25 or 30 times for scene.
Okay. And during those 25 to 30 times, or other times that you've been called out to a homicide investigation, have those before included gunshots going through drywall?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an occasion in these prior scenes that you visited to notice the shape that a gunshot may make when it's going through drywall?
Yes, ma'am.
Describe for us the shape of 22R, where we're looking at damage A.
It would appear, oh God.
Well, sorry. I was specifically wanting to ask to you, based on your training and your experience, the significance of the shape of the damage A that we see depicted in this photo.
With this photograph, we're seeing a rounded shape as it goes through the wall. When you're seeing the clean edges, generally speaking, that would refer to an entrance or the round coming from this side of the wall penetrating into this
That makes
wall.
sense.
I think you can see slightly from A1, it's a little rougher, and that's because as it starts to come back out of the wall on the opposite side, it's pushing that material in front of it, so it fragments as it's coming out. And you'll see either the wall being pushed out in that direction, or you'll see it's a little bit rougher around those edges as the edges of those are pushed out.
Yeah, but going back to this doesn't make sense. If she's laying there, why is there a shot here? Or sleeping? I don't know.
Or you'll see it's a little bit rougher around those edges as the edges of those are pushed out.
The damage in A1 depicted in 22A that we see on the shower wall. You just mentioned if a projectile was going through the wall, you may see the sides of the shape made in the wall be pushed out slightly. Am I understanding that correctly?
From the exiting side, yes, ma'am.
And let's see, 22 double B, I'm placing on the Elmo. Describe for the record what we're looking at in damage A1, specifically around the shape that you noticed.
So this would be what we believe is the corresponding exit from the A damage or the initial A damage, and you'll see where the paint is kind of chipped as that force is pushing that out, and we'll start pushing portions of the wall out with it as the bullet comes out of the wall or would be exiting from the wall. That's a hallmark of what we would typically see with that. It's not impossible to be reversed, but this would generally speak to us as this being an exit of a projectile coming out through the wall.
Now, when you're given information, when you first
Yeah,
arrive
right,
to a
I don't know,
conversation
man.
about what may have happened or may not have happened, as part of your duties as a scene investigator, are you looking to see whether or not the forensic evidence or the physical evidence at the scene either match up or don't match up to the story that you had been told may or may not have happened?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, we're looking at 22C, image A2. It
Dang,
looks like
sorry,
we're
y'all.
in the same shower that we've been talking about, our bathroom that we've been talking about, that is right next to the children's room. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is this shower curtain also depicted in, or a part of the shower that's in 22Z that we've been using for reference? If you were to walk in to the left, would you immediately see what we're looking at in 22Z, the shower curtain?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Now, tell us what you notice about damage A2. Specifically the shape.
It is somewhat rounded, at least for a portion of the side. The upper, as we see in the photograph, the upper and then the right side of that damage or defect does appear to be rounded. And then there are, you can't see it in this photograph specifically, but you can kind of start to see it. There are subsequent holes behind that, or tearings of the same plastic shower material behind that, as it would appear a projectile continues on its path through the shower curtain.
We're looking at, on the Elmo, 22B. For reference, we see the same damage A2 that we were just discussing in the previous photo, but we also see it slightly blurred on the tile, a damage A3 on a yellow sticky label. Now, I'm
Someone's laying the
placing
track down.
22E. Tell the jury what is significant to you based on your training and experience about the shape of damage AE in the shower tile.
Damage A3 appears to be the termination of that projectile going through the wall, impacting
gosh.
the tile. And that's what
I might
we're
have to
seeing
skip
kind of
through this.
centered
This
in
is
that damage
rough.
there, is the backside of the projectile or bullet.
Just hang tight for one moment.
And it sucks because this is an
One
important part.
specific-
We gotta suffer through, y'all.
Now, during your investigations as a scene detective, at some point during certain investigations, does it become important to take measurements?
Yes, ma'am.
Help us understand, in what situations do you decide to take measurements, and what situations do you decide it may not be necessary?
Most all of our collected items are going to have some measurement to them. You'll see many of these stickers that are being photographed have a scale or have a measurement already on the sticker that helps us understand if it's next to something, what the size is that we're dealing with. If it's something that we find of specific importance that we're collecting, we may do additional measurements of it once we get back to crime scene and have a more controlled environment. But generally speaking, several of our areas that are photographed will have some sort of scale to them. It's not necessarily to give you a specific measurement as to the width or the diameter of the bullet, but it is giving you some context as to how big this portion of damage is on the wall.
I want to talk about trajectory rods. Yesterday, we were introduced to the idea of trajectory rods. Tell us why, in certain cases, you may use
Need a new
a
transmission.
trajectory rod.
A trajectory rod is just a tool that we're using. We have to have two solid areas that are either impacted or traversed by a bullet for us, or projectile, for us to be able to use a trajectory rod. We have to have a point A and a point B that we can pass that rod through. Generally speaking, when we do have bullet damages, we are getting some rounded areas that it's going through, as we've kind of seen through this evidence. And then the trajectory rod allows us to pass a straight implement through those holes and now look at the directionality of where that rod is pointing. Generally speaking, if we're looking back in the direction of where we believe the bullet came from, we can get some idea of where the gun would have had to have been positioned or pointed and aimed at that direction. And somewhere, if you were to draw out where that rod is pointing, somewhere along that line, a gun was pointing in that same direction and firing that bullet, which passed.
Objection, or outside the scope of this witness's expertise.
Overruled.
You can finish.
Somewhere along that line is going to be the passing of the bullet through the same location where the rod is.
Now, I'm placing on the Elmo, let me move these first. I'm placing on the Elmo,
It discharged and he kept firing.
22
Again, it doesn't make
J.
sense.
we see
It
in
does
this
not make
photo
sense.
the bunk beds and a measuring tool. Are we looking at the top bunk here, or are we looking at the bottom bunk here?
This is still the top bunk, ma'am.
How tall is the topmost portion of the top rail of the top bunk?
It's measured at 5 feet with the large red 5, and then 5 inches with the smaller white in the black background 5.
So is it safe to say that I'm understanding the top most tall portion of the top bunk is 5 feet 5 inches?
Yes, ma'am. The very top of, tippy top of the rail, so to speak, would be 5 feet and 5 inches from the floor height.
And to orient the jury, we see in the top left a green sticker that's placed on the wall, and on the photo, it's to the left of the measuring tool. Do you see what I'm talking about?
How,
Yes.
When you
how
put
tall
right
is
here?
Jermaine?
I'm placing on the Elmo, it states 22R. Is that the same, and for the record, once I've placed 22R in the Elmo, I'm pointing to the left portion, there's only one green sticker on the wall, and I'm pointing to it right now. Is that the same sticker that I'm pointing to in 22R that is apparent in 22JJ that we see to the left of the measuring marker?
Yes, ma'am. That would be the same sticker.
Okay. Based on your training and experience, the fact that you were at the scene, I'm placing 22RRR on the Elmo. And it's fuzzy. Let's give it just a
22
second.
6 feet tall.
In 22RRR, we see
Still
damage
wouldn't be
A
comfortable.
that we've referred to before. Knowing that the topmost portion that I'm pointing to on the left side is 5 feet and 5 inches, can you confirm, because you were there, damage A is at least 5 feet 5 inches or higher?
Yes, ma'am. That would be accurate.
Now, I see a green pole that is extending in this photo out of damage A. We've talked about trajectory rods before, but help the jury understand. The green pole that is extending out of damage A, is that a trajectory rod?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22LLL. This is labeled, damage A1. And just to orient all of us again, there's a lot of A's, A1s, B's. We determined A is in the children's room above the bunk bed, at least 5 feet 5 inches high. Now, where are we for B or for A1?
Now we're on the bathroom side of the wall, so opposite or the adjoining wall from the bedroom. And this is a measurement of that what we believe to be the corresponding damage of A1.
So, based on the measurement that is in the photo, we have a measuring tool placed to the right of damage A1 that we see. What is the measurement or the height of damage A1 in the children's bathroom?
I would put it between 5'5" and 5'6", somewhere right in that area.
Now, before, when we looked at damage 22RRR with a green trajectory pole poking out, the corresponding same green pole, 22LLL, is it the same green trajectory pole?
Yes, ma'am. Same rod.
Specifically, I want you to explain to the jury the significance of 22RRR. I want to draw your attention. Oh, let's give it a second to focus. Looks like it's... Here we go. The trajectory rod, the green trajectory rod, protruding out of damage
Exactly.
A. Explain to the jury the significance of the angle that we see portrayed in this photograph.
Given that we're looking at the wall from what we have interpreted as the entry point, we're dealing with a slightly downward angle, and that angle for the purpose of this photograph would be from a left to right
I'm
angle.
going to object again to this witness outside his knowledge and expertise.
Well,
You can answer it.
But it was essentially answered. It's a downward angle and slightly left to right as it's seen in this photograph.
So based on the trajectory rod, is the angle traveling at a downward angle or an upward angle at the point in which it enters the wall marked by damage A?
It's traveling at a downward angle.
22 LLL.
It's traveling at a
I'm placing
downward
on the
angle.
Elmo we've looked at before. We've determined the same trajectory rod in damage A is depicted here in damage A1. I want to draw your attention to the angle of the trajectory rod depicted in this photo. I want you to explain the significance of the angle of the trajectory rod
Please
depicted in this
explain.
photo.
It's still traveling at a downward angle.
So the level, so then I want to place on the Elmo 22 MMM. To orient us, we're looking at the shower curtain with the marker damage A. Is that 2 or 1? A2. I see a measuring tool to the left of A2. Tell the jury, and I'll actually zoom in a little more because it's kind of hard to see the defect or the hole of damage A2. What is the height of damage A2 that's depicted in
Yeah, I don't know what this proves
We're
either.
looking at just a little below the 5 foot mark.
So let's say
4'11" and 5 foot.
4'11", right between 4'11" and 5 foot.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you testified before that, and we can see, I'm placing
Or someone on the
back
bunk
on
bed.
Elmo.
Tay.
22 JJJ. I'm giving the Elmo a minute. Where we are
Someone
using for
tall or
reference
someone
the
on the
5
bunk
foot,
bed. Who
5
knows?
inch height of the outermost, tallest portion of the bunk bed. Then I'm placing 22 RRR, where it shows, and we've determined that damage A is higher than that 5 feet, 5 inch measuring marker of our vantage point right here, the pole that I'm pointing to over at the outermost corner. You've previously testified that the trajectory pole shows a downward trajectory in the photo that we're showing here. And we know 22 LLL, you explained, was also showing a downward trajectory of the pole. Is the measurement in 22 MMM that I'm placing on the Elmo consistent with the trajectory being at a downward angle coming from the wall, damage A1, to the shower curtain, damage A2?
Objection just again, and ask for continuing objection to this witness giving his testimony.
All right, the objections have overruled. You have a continuing objection.
Thank you.
This line of questioning.
You can answer.
Yes, it would be consistent with the round still descending or being in a downward trajectory as it is traveling towards what we can pretty easily identify as its terminal point where it's embedded in the wall.
Now we're looking on 22 NNN, placing it on the Elmo, where we see
Why does she keep
damage
narrating?
A3.
We don't care.
Next to damage A3,
Let's put it on the
we see a
Elmo.
measuring tool. Tell the jury, what is the measurement from the floor, the height of damage A3?
It's between 4'10" and 4'11". 4'10" being kind of the bottom margin of that, where the grout is for that tile, and then 4'11" being the top edge of that damage, and we would expect the actual penetration to be somewhere probably in the middle between 4'10" and 4'11".
Comparing the height of damage A2, that we've determined to be about 5'11" and a half or so.
For 4'11".
4'11", excuse me. I was looking at the number 5. You're correct. 4'11" of damage A2 and a half or so, to the height
Yeah, it's Florida,
damage
Rhonda.
A3.
Nobody's shocked about
being slightly below that at
the amount of
4
ammo.
foot. Between 10 and 11, it kind of encompasses the whole inch there. Is that consistent with the trajectory rod that we saw in damage A and A1 to be at a downward angle?
Yes, it's still downward or still descending.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22000. The marker on the wall, is that damage A1?
Yes, ma'am, on the right side wall, in the photograph just above the shower towel holder.
On the shower curtain, is that damage A2?
Yes, ma'am.
And we can kind of see, it looks like there's, over here, there's a cabinet on the wall, but sneaking out right behind the cabinet, it looks like we have another yellow marker that goes into the shower tile. Is that damage A3?
Yes, ma'am.
Explain to the jury the purpose of using the trajectory rod from damage A1 in the bathroom wall to A2 in the shower curtain to A3 in the shower tile.
To again show the path of the projectile as it went through the bathroom, or the likely path of the projectile as it's penetrating through the wall, going through the shower curtain, and then embedding in the tile. So this is a fairly accurate representation of what that path would have looked like.
You just used the word the path a few times. What is the path?
The path of the bullet or the projectile as it's going through the wall and then ending up in the other wall.
And what is the path? It's at a what angle?
The path and trajectory is at a downward angle in this instance.
Is this the same hole that we see in 22RRR depicted right above damage A?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Now, based on your training and your experience and your evaluation of the trajectory rod used in this investigation, what occurred from damage A to damage A1 to damage A2 and to damage A3?
I think this has been asked and answered, Judge Everett.
It's sustained.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22R to reorient us. Are we looking at the top bunk or the bottom bunk?
Top bunk again.
I want to draw your attention to an evidence label entitled Damage B. I'm pointing to it. It's the yellow label that's closest to the bloody mattress. What does that look like to you when you were first there and you first viewed it?
Our belief was that was also a bullet damage or a bullet impact location.
Looking at 22FFF, what are we looking at here? Well, hold on. Let me start out with a larger view of it. And then, what's significant about this damage, specifically when you zoom in?
We believed, again, this is just a zoomed in or a closer up photograph of one of the preceding photographs of the same damage at damage B. We're seeing some blood in that same area, as well as some breaking of the wood on that framework. And towards the right, I would say the right edge of that damage, there's a little bit of rounded shape to that damage that we thought might be consistent with a bullet or a projectile striking that area.
Now, was that damage that's depicted in damage B what sometimes law enforcement would call a through and through, meaning that there's an entrance and an exit?
In terms of a medium before making that impact?
Correct. Like, is there a hole on the other side?
So for this area of wood, no, when we moved that rail away and moved the whole bed away from the wall, we did not see a corresponding hole coming through that piece of wood. So to us, it just looked like a fracture or a damage on the front side of the wood.
Looking at 22XX. Is this another view of the damage that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
You can just have a moment. During your investigation, did you have an occasion to inspect both the top mattress and bottom mattress for places that may be of evidentiary value?
Yes, ma'am, we did that.
Tell us about your inspection of the top bunk mattress.
In this same general vicinity of where we're looking at now, near where the damage B is, we did find a defect or what looks to be a tear or hole in the top fabric material of that same mattress.
In the photo that we're looking at, 22XX, where was the defect that you noticed in the mattress?
It's close to the same area where damage B is, a little bit inset from the mattress, so away from the wall, but where one of the concentrations of blood is located.
Judge, can the witness stand up, please, to identify the area he's discussing?
Yes.
Please stand up and point to it.
It would have been in this upper portion of the mattress, just forward of where damage B is, or just for the purpose where you're viewing it on the television screen, to the left of where damage B is located.
I'm placing 22D on the Elmo. point to the area so the jury understands of what you're talking about where you noticed a defect in the mattress.
Can you zoom in a little bit, ma'am? The area of defect for this is going to be along where the same area. There's a splitting of kind of the foam in the mattress here, and that's part of where the blood was also. There's a little bit of blood that came through the mattress in that same location.
We're using the term defect, which feels like a more scientific term. In lay terms, what do you mean by the word defect?
A damage to it or a hole that is coming through it, some sort of tear or hole in the fabric.
Could that be seen from the top of the mattress before it's peeled up as we see depicted in this photo?
A little bit, yes. That was where we were initially drawn to the location of the hole or the torn area of the mattress from the top.
So you see this on the top, this torn area, and you decide to peel it up like we see depicted in this photograph, which is 22DDD. After seeing what you see depicted in 22DDD, what did you do next?
Continued to cut through that mattress to try to locate if there was an actual projectile somewhere in the mattress.
Surprising they cut through the mattress like that. That happens all the time.
22EE.
Now we're looking at the same mattress, but with the entire top layer peeled back. So now we're looking at the interior spring arrangement of the mattress.
Where did all that blood come from?
You just described in 22
That's what I want to know.
Is this the same mattress depicted in 22DDD where we see it peeled up to reveal the foam?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it the same mattress that we're looking at in 22X, which is the mattress depicted in this photo to be on the top bunk that has blood pooling and staining?
Yes, ma'am.
After peeling back to see the springs in 22EEE, tell the jury what you noticed.
A projectile was located within this space where the springs were.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22FFF. This is significant. Number one, what are we looking at?
We're looking at a zoomed in picture, kind of a continuation of the previous picture of the spring arrangement.
And I want to draw your and the jury's attention to, it looks like an item that I'm placing my finger to. It's kind of a semicircle portion of an item. What is that item?
That would be a projectile, ma'am, or a bullet.
Is that consistent with the damage or defect that you saw occurred in the foam that you described before?
Where did that bullet come from, though?
22GGG, I'm placing on the Elmo. What are we looking at?
That would be the actual recovered bullet or projectile, just held in a palm.
The recovered bullet or projectile that we're looking at in this photo, is it the same as the projectile that's depicted and that we just pointed out in 22FFF?
Yes, ma'am.
And the projectile that we just pointed out in 22FFF, is it found in the same area as the defect that you described in the foam depicted in 22DDD?
It's actually a little bit towards the opposite side of the mattress, a little bit further in to the opposite side. It is still the same mattress, but it is not directly beneath where this damage is located, but a little bit further away within the mattress or within the spring space of the mattress.
Can you stand up and show us?
Yes. It would be found kind of towards the top of the screen on that side of the mattress.
So help us understand. Do you believe, based on your training and experience, the location, and for the record, I have 22X on the Elmo where it depicts damage
I got you,
B.
Mr. Brown.
That damage B and the projectile found in the mattress depicted in 22GGG are related.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the jury why you feel that way.
It was our belief that what you're seeing at damage B is going to be a deflection point where it is impacting or coming in contact with the side rail of the bed and then deflecting back in the opposite direction into the mattress and embedding itself through the mattress.
The lack of foundation and proper opinion for
All right,
PSV.
Everald.
You can repeat it because she was talking.
Where it's impacting the railing and then deflecting and coming back, or ricocheting and coming back through the mattress and ultimately being located in the mattress through the space where the springs are located.
Thank you, Amy. Let them know.
If I may just have a moment, Judge, I need to set these aside. behind the top railing of the top bunk bed, at some point, we see another trajectory hole that is like a red or pink in color. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment.
Yep, there's the 380 and the 9mm.
During your investigation, did you have an occasion to follow the trajectory of that damage to the wall and determine what happened at that point of entry?
Yes, ma'am. As I recall, the initial entry into the wall is marked by B1. It clashes a little bit with B, but that was because at the time that we were investigating, we thought that B1 may be a continuation of the damage to B through the frame into B1. However, once the bed was removed from the wall, we realized there is no continuation or no hole on the back side of B. Therefore, B1 was identified as a separate and independent bullet damage to the wall, accounting for a different projectile.
And I'm placing on the Elmo 22FF, we
Sounds
see
like it.
damage B, but behind that on the wall, we see poking out a yellow evidence marker. Is that what you're discussing, that you thought that damage B and what's behind the evidence marker on the wall, you thought they were related?
Yes, ma'am, we did. The one behind it, though you can't see it, is going to be the same one that's going to be seen later as damage B1.
Damage B1, did you determine on the other side of that wall where that projectile landed?
Yes, we did.
So it did
While
go
there's
through
not
the
a punch
railing.
through the wall,
There.
with an actual exit hole, we do see a kind of conical shape on the back side of that wall where it looks like something impacted and it just didn't come all the way through the wall. So it struck the wall from the space, the voided space in between the wall, but it didn't actually go all the way through the drywall. It just struck the bathroom side of the wall.
And we're looking at 22QQQ. Damage B2 we see labeled on here. Is that what we would call the defect on the wall that you noticed that was related to damage?
Oh, there we go. We were doing
ma'am,
so
it is.
good too.
Tell the jury about the different heights of damage B1 and damage B2.
Those would also be in a downward trajectory from where we think our entry point is on the bedroom side of the wall to where we see our impact point on the bathroom side of the wall.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22PPP. What's the height of the damage of B2?
Can you back out just a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I didn't realize it was still so zoomed in.
Yeah, great question from Rice Street says, are they saying more than one gun or they just found the other ammo? They found the other gun with the spent shell casings, but from what I understand, it was just the 380 that was fired, allegedly.
So the 4 is almost covered, but we're looking at 4 feet and somewhere again in between 9 and 10 inches. So 4 foot 9.5-ish on the bathroom side of the damage.
And
Which doesn't make sense.
Damage B1, that would be depicted in 22F. Again, we're only seeing the very edge of the marker behind here, but just for reference, is this the same top portion of the top bunk that we've measured out as 5 feet and 5 inches?
Yes, the very top rail with a little bit of extra would be the 5 foot and 5 inches location.
I'm placing on the Elmo 22CCC. What are we looking at here?
Some poorly done demolition, and then that's going to be a projectile that was recovered from the wall.
After the search warrant was conducted, did you walk
thank you,
around
Tangi.
the whole townhome alongside Shannon Bader and help direct her as to what needed to be photographed and what needed to be marked with the different evidence markers?
Yes, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily in lockstep as we're going through, but everything that is marked as evidence is either something that was noted by her or something that was noted by myself. And then together or in tandem, we will assure each other that we are aware of everything that has been marked as evidence.
Putting on the Elmo 22FFFF. This was a photo we did not have a chance to view yesterday. Can
Right,
you
they just
orient
found
us,
the spent
to
shell
what we're looking
casings.
at in
That's what I heard.
22FFFF?
This would be a picture taken from the kitchen, looking at the edge of the kitchen counter. To the left margin of the photograph, you can see a table and chairs. That's the dining room table and chairs. To the right edge, I can point this behind me, but we're seeing the slim edge of what looks like a darker colored or brown door. That would be the front door in an open position.
So the front door is out on the first floor of this townhome that we've discussed.
That's correct. This is the first floor.
Now, throughout your investigation and in your experience as a detective or a scene detective in a homicide investigation, help us understand, are you given parameters on what needs to be swabbed and what doesn't need to be swabbed for DNA purposes?
No, I think that's something that generally evolves as we're going through the investigation.
Is he in charge of
There's
that?
no hard, fast rule for what does need to swab or what doesn't need to swab. Generally, we're doing an accumulation of different swabs for target areas, either heavily saturated areas. For instance, if we have what we perceive to be a trail or a series of droplets that start from A all the way to Z, we may take just some of the swabs along that way because we're demonstrating it is a path or it is something we can readily identify as a continuation of droplets. And we may swab at the first point, the last point, and one or two spots in between. So we don't always swab every single spot that we are seeing at a scene, and we don't always swab every single puddle that we see at a scene or pooling
think I
area that
have
we
some
see at a scene.
memberships I can give
But
away.
generally, we're swabbing or looking for areas that we think are of specific interest for the investigation.
When you decide what needs to be swabbed or what doesn't need to be swabbed, do you take into consideration the information that you were given by the responding deputies when you first arrive at a homicide scene?
Yes, ma'am, that's fair.
In this scene, when you arrived, did you ever become aware that there were any other victims other than the children, Jayla and JJ Bass, in this scene?
For trauma, no, we were not aware of there being any other victims.
Did you have occasion to inspect or look at the firearm when it was found during the execution of the search warrant?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And the magazine
Were there
of
being
that
other victims?
firearm that was found during the execution of the search warrant, did you
There we
take
go.
that information into consideration, how many bullets or projectiles it held when you were looking for things in the children's bedrooms, such as projectiles or casings?
For the totality of the investigation, yes, that was considered. The number of casings that were located in the bedroom, I believe, were found before we even found the firearm.
So when you are a scene detective at a homicide scene, we've used words such as projectiles and words such as casing. What's the difference between a projectile and a casing?
Projectile is kind of synonymous with bullet. It's the actual portion that
unspent.
goes out from the gun and strikes whatever it strikes. Our casing is the back portion of the entire bullet that is expelled from the firearm. In this case, if it's a semi-automatic, it's expelled out of the firearm and lands somewhere off to the side of where the firearm is at the time that the shot is fired.
So we're talking about things being expelled from firearms, and someone who may not have experience could get confused. Where does a projectile expel from a firearm?
The shell casing.
The trigger is pulled and the bullet, the entire casing is ignited. The bullet is going out of the barrel and then the slide is sliding back and then your casing is coming out of the side. Generally speaking, most firearms are right side ported, so you're going to have your casing coming out of the right side. And generally speaking, again, most times it comes in a slightly backwards direction off to the right side. That is in a standard position of holding the firearm. Any variation of rotating the firearm or angling the firearm will cause that casing to come out at a slightly different angle.
How many total casings were found at this crime scene associated with this case?
We recovered 5 spent casings from the bedrooms.
How
Okay.
many projectiles were recovered at the scene of this investigation?
We recovered 3 projectiles from the scene.
That makes sense.
When you're saying 3 projectiles, does that include things like fragments?
Include what?
Things like fragments.
In this instance, I don't believe we recovered fragments. I think every one of the projectiles we recovered was intact.
During this investigation, you explained to us before that you work closely with the lead investigator and other detectives in the case. Does that include finding out whether or not any of the victims who were transported to the hospital or to the medical examiner's office had projectiles or fragments contained within their bodies?
We would eventually become aware of that. I don't know if we were aware of that at the time that we were working our scene.
How many other projectiles were recovered?
There was 1 other projectile recovered from autopsy,
From whose body?
from Jayla Bass's body.
May I have just a moment, Judge?
Yes?
Yeah, it's crazy that they didn't do any GSR either.
Bit of a mess, so I'm gonna try to.
Get it together.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't have any further questions.
All right, Cross?
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Detective?
That's fine.
Hey, y'all, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. Let her live. Let the defense
All
live.
right, so how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
14 years then.
Alrighty, and a lot of your training for crime scene documentation is on the job, correct?
Correct.
You've done some outside presentations, but mainly you've received quite training during your years documenting scenes.
Correct.
Okay. I wanted to ask you first, you did in fact attend the autopsy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You attended it with, I believe, CSI Durham?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there had been some question, had there not, concerning Jayla Bass's hands being bagged. Do you remember that?
Chris Pratt, I could see it.
And there was
Yeah.
a question as to whether they had
That's
been,
funny.
her hands had been bagged prior to coming to the medical examiner's office. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And the medical examiner's office, based on that, contacted you, advised you it had not been done per your agency, and asked you if you wished to have any special processing done on Jayla's hands.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
All right. And you indicated to the medical examiner's office there was no special processing requested and no plans to swab her hands, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And when a witness gets their hands back, that's typically done at the scene?
I think if we're talking about bagged hands, we're usually talking about deceased, but yes, I don't know that we bag witnesses. If we bag witnesses, we might be pissing people off, but yes, deceased, that's typically done at the scene if we're going to do it, yes.
Yeah, don't bag the witness.
Witnesses. So in this case, Jayla Bass's hands were bagged at the scene.
They were not bagged at the scene, no.
Hospital?
I believe at hospital, yes.
Okay. So when she arrives for the autopsy, her hands have been bagged.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And that bagging is to protect and preserve any evidence that might be on a person's hand, under their fingernails.
Yes, it can, correct.
Now, you don't have any contact with any civilians in this case, Mr. Bass, Mrs. Bass.
That's correct.
Now, casings, since you talked about firearms and casings, you've indicated typically casings in a normal type firearm, semi-automatic that we're talking about, typically they eject to the right.
Correct.
In this specific case, with the Glock 42 that we have, that's .380 caliber, do you know what side the port is on?
I believe it's on the right side, ma'am.
Okay. And the port's going to be the area in which that casing ejects from.
Yes, it's the opening to allow that casing to eject.
Now, casings are fluid.
Yes, their hands
they can
were
be
bagged.
moved around, they can bounce, they can be kicked around, they can fall in different places, correct?
That's correct, yes.
When we spoke to you, you processed this scene on August 29th into August 30th of 2022, correct?
Yes, August 30th, correct.
And you had no idea that responding deputies had moved blankets from around the area of Jayla more towards the eastern side in order to retrieve Jayla. You didn't know about that till we told you in deposition.
That's correct, ma'am.
Right. So you didn't know that at all. We advised you, let me know if this sounds accurate, about a year and 2 months later, October 17th of 2023.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
At that point, when you spoke with us and we gave you that information, had you watched any of the body cams of responders?
No, I don't believe I had, ma'am.
Have
All right,
you to
where's she
this
going
day,
with this?
in the time you've had, been able to watch any of the body cams?
Yes, we've reviewed body cameras.
Now, since the blankets had been moved by first responders, you cannot give us any opinion as to the actual location of any of the casings that were located on the top bunk, correct?
That's fair, yes.
Now, we did in fact have one casing on the bottom bunk, correct?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
And since deputies had moved the bedding, certainly a casing from the
The
top
sun is
bunk
fine.
could have fallen
Well,
onto the bottom bunk.
as
where
fine
we
as it
saw
could be.
Yes, it could have.
Without opening either mattress, were any photographs taken of the bottom of either mattress, top or bottom bunk?
No, I don't believe, other than what is already captured just in photographs of the wall, no, there's no kind of holding the camera upside down, just taking a photograph of the bottom, or once it was removed, I think all the pictures are from the top and the sides of the mattress.
For both top and bottom bunk?
Correct, yes.
Now, we've talked about A, and A is, let's say this, a little more easier to travel or to follow than B was. Is that fair?
Yes, that's fair.
So, and the states already went over A with you. I'm not going to go back over A. I just want to go back over B a little bit. And bear with me, please. It's like a whole woman. There's a lot of pictures. All right, so we have states 22 RRR. You probably looked at this photo with Miss Reader. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So now we have the yellow evidence marker placed by Shannon Bader. It is labeled damage B, correct?
Correct.
Right. And I think you indicated that you guys had thought something originally, but then you determined that was not correct.
That's fair, yes.
All right. So basically, damage B was, and can we call it like a nick or so? What do you call it?
She loves Nick
Just
over there.
An impact point or an impact site, I would say.
Okay. So you originally thought, you and your agency thought, that damage B went through and through the top of the bunk bed into the hole that was behind the bunk bed, which is labeled B1.
That's correct.
And then you thought that that same hole or that same travel went to B2, which was in the bathroom and dug out of the drywall.
I think by the time we established B1 and B2 and broadened it, we realized it's pretty clearly not going to be the same as damage B. So I don't know if we ever got to assuming B2 might be an extension of that.
Okay. So B1 and
Interesting.
B2, based on what you're seeing at the scene, you believe are clearly not a continuation of damage B, despite your original thought.
Correct.
You said something, let me see if we can see it in the same photo. I think we can. You said something about damage B having what is blood, that there's some blood around damage B, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You just testified to that? All right. Was that area swabbed above damage B?
I don't believe it was.
Was any sort of phenolphthalein testing done to determine that any item you saw of red substance above damage B was in fact blood?
No, I don't. If it wasn't swabbed, then I don't believe there would have been any pheno testing for it.
Okay. So when you're using the term blood, you're kind of assuming.
Presumptive, yes.
And it may very well be blood, right?
Right.
Okay. But you don't know. You can't tell this jury it was blood.
Right, I don't have chemical analysis to say that's blood.
They say the red substance, right?
When you were continuing now and you're finding that projectile related to B1 and B2 in the wall, do you recall any debris or blood from that projectile? It would be B2 that was in the wall. Any debris or blood that you remember from that projectile?
No, I don't recall seeing anything on it.
Sticking with B, you gave Miss Reader your opinion about that potentially a
welcome,
bullet
Tamara.
hitting that B frame right here and going into the mattress where the hole is, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
And over here, that is the area, that's the area in which the projectile, which has been fired, is found somewhere in the mattress.
Yes, in the area of the mattress below damage B.
Okay. Now, can you tell this jury, since you've testified to that, that that's what happened in this case?
Definitively, no, I can't say because I wasn't there to see it with my own eyes. We don't have video of that. That is an inference drawn based on the other damages that we see.
So now he
and then
don't
the
recall.
fact that we do have a projectile in the mattress.
Okay. So you drew an inference in your, is it fair to say your opinion?
That's fair.
Okay. That something hit damage B and then went into the mattress, but you can't tell the jury that's what happened.
Definitively, no. Correct.
And damage B, can you even definitively tell this jury that damage B occurred from this case?
I don't, based off of what we see with the blood, well, with what you're going to say is going to be the presumed blood, yes, it would be our thought that this is going to be from this case. But definitively,
his wife's
no, I
not in
can't
court.
say that I absolutely have knowledge of the condition of this frame before this ever occurred. That is a conclusion that is drawn from our investigation.
And it may very well be, just
Interesting.
as I talked about the blood, but you're not telling this jury you can definitively say damage B occurred that night, it was shot that night.
Yeah, I don't have any foreknowledge of or pre-existing knowledge of what the condition of the framework looked like.
Now, when the mattress had been opened up, and Miss Reeder was showing you photographs of the mattress, we could see the coils, correct?
Correct,
All right.
springs will, yes.
And that's where you and your agency located a fired projectile.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when Miss Reeder was showing you that photograph, and you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Or I'll have to sift through all the photos.
Yeah,
It was the opposite side that we should have been looking at? Is that
Somebody's
correct?
covering for
The
somebody.
location of where the projectile is after asking?
Yeah.
Yes, if you're looking at the mattress as it would have been on the top bunk, it would have been nearer the front side of the frame, the open side, opposite to the wall side. So the defect or the damage that we believe is the entry point of that projectile is nearer to the frame where we saw B. The projectile is actually recovered nearer or on the opposite side of the mattress, away from the wall.
So it's kind of turned.
Yes, that was part of our conclusion of having impact. If it had impacted B and deflected or come ricocheting back, it's now
there's
coming in
your
the direction
ricochet,
back towards
guys.
The direction it came from, and that's why it's located further onto the side of the mattress away from the wall.
Okay. So when I'm looking at that mattress, and it's on the bottom bunk at the time that you guys are examining it and take the photos, correct?
Yes, it's photographed on the bottom bunk.
But that is actually the mattress from the top bunk.
Correct.
Right. So when I'm looking at that, and in the lower right-hand corner where we could see it pulled back, where would that specific area have been in terms of the frame and the wall?
That area that is peeled back from the frame of the wall is right there where damage B is, and below the green marker that's on the wall. That saturated area that we see in that corner of the mattress.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies that for me. So basically what we've done is we've moved the mattress from the top
Both
to the bottom.
parents are covering.
And then we have pulled it back to get the projectile out of there.
Correct.
Okay. Now, we also told you something else at deposition you were not aware of. Do you remember that?
I'm
If
sure
you
you're
don't-
about to tell me.
If you don't worry. Didn't in fact we tell you at deposition?
Your Honor, this is hearsay.
It's not.
Didn't we
really
in fact advise you at deposition on October 17th of 23, which is about a year and 2 months later, that CSI Bader had actually documented that the projectile came from the bottom mattress?
Yes, I believe that was mentioned at the meeting with us.
And she had indicated that in reports. It's even on property receipts where evidence is listed, correct?
I did specifically see it on property, yes.
Okay, thank you. My question then, Detective Hogelman, did you discuss that with her after our deposition where we pointed that out to you? Did you kind of discuss it with her and let her know she made an error?
I'm sure I did. I don't recall specifically the conversation, but yes.
Sure.
You don't
And that's
recall.
something you should do,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
Now, we've talked a little bit about potentially the red substance above B and B itself. You can't tell this jury that's specifically from this event. How about A? A could be from this event, but you cannot specifically tell this jury it definitely was. And I'm speaking of A, A1, A2, and A3.
That's fair, yes.
Right. And again, it very well could be, and
Right.
you've done the rotting, but you cannot definitively say it is related.
Right, that's fair.
Were the mattresses kept?
No, I do not believe either mattress was retained.
Okay. Do you know why? I know you have a big property department.
No, just the photographs and documentation of it at the scene. I think we felt was complete at that point.
You also told us, you gave an opinion about where the
So
gun
many
was,
questions, not
that the
enough
gun would
answers.
be
I agree.
Facing towards A. You can't say that's where the gun was facing, correct?
I can only say that with projectile damage, that at some point, the muzzle of the gun has to be pointed in that direction for the projectile to take that path.
The gun could be on the top bunk, it could be off the bunk, just pointed in that direction.
Anywhere along that same line of where the rod, if you extrapolate it out, the same
Call
angle
it a
that rod is
plane.
at, anywhere along that pathway, the gun could be pointed or held.
Okay, that makes more sense, anywhere along that pathway. And guns move, people move, will you agree with that?
That's fair, yes.
And I know you had some involvement with additional
He's
items
falling asleep
in the
back
kids'
there.
room, and I would like to find those photos. If you could bear with me, Detective Hogelman. Detective Hobelman, 22P State's Exhibit. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And this appears to be, and Ms. Bader talked about it yesterday as well, this appears to be some sort of baby bassinet with an evidence marker 7, and there's some items contained within it.
Correct.
Okay. What did you determine the black item to be?
So within this little toy wash tub,
It's a clip again.
that item that is the black item appears to be an in-pocket holster.
What does that mean?
So in pocket, that settles into the trigger guard of a firearm, of a smaller compact firearm. It doesn't allow when somebody's reaching, the objective is for it, when you reach into the pocket, your finger can't incidentally brush the trigger or set the firearm off in your own pocket. So while it doesn't hold the firearm, it kind of makes the firearm safer or safe to carry within the pocket.
Okay. So is it actually called a clip or a holster? What would you call it?
Yeah, I keep referring to it a holster. It may be closer, you could call it a clip.
It's a clip.
It's
for
probably closer to a clip than a holster.
Okay. And do we know, does that fit any type of gun, or do you have any way of knowing?
Just based off of measurements, it could be compared to see if it matches a specific gun or not. Sometimes they're made to accommodate a number of different ranges or a couple different makes or models of firearm.
Okay. And did you do anything to determine that clip or that holder, whether it could have been used on the gun recovered in this case?
I did not, no ma'am.
Okay. And again, you're just documenting the scene. That may not have been something that you would have been tasked to do.
That's fair.
All right.
Yes.
And that is located somewhere in pretty close proximity to the bunk bed. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, that item's a little unusual there, isn't it? You find it to be a little bit unusual.
It's a gun accessory in a children's room, so yes, based on that information, I would say it's a little bit unusual.
How did it get there? It's the question you have to ask.
Now,
how are y'all feeling? Again, I just want to know in the comments and in the chat, on a scale from 1 to 10, how are y'all feeling about reasonable doubt? 10 being extremely reasonable, or extremely reasonable that it wasn't him, a lot of reasonable doubt, or 1, 0 being no reasonable doubt at all. Let me know.
To execute the search warrant, collected items, documented the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in fact, there's no full search done of the townhouse until you have that warrant
8.
signed.
Correct.
6.
And
Wow.
one of the other areas that you noticed was the children's bedroom closet. Do you remember the closet in the children's bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
6.
This is Defense Exhibit 1
7.
entered into evidence. Do you recognize that, Detective Hobelman?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does that picture depict in Defense Exhibit 1?
This is, I believe, is the children's bed. The
9.
children's closet.
Oh my goodness.
And what of significance was located in the children's closet?
As I recall, a brownish bag or backpack.
Okay. Can we see it in the photo, maybe?
I think that is the
3,
top of it
8.
down at the bottom of the photograph.
And for the record, I'm just
To the right
pointing-
of where the dark pants are. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, to the right of the dark pants, under this brown coat.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. Was anything else collected out of that closet?
Just some of the materials that were in that bag.
3.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Let me ask you first. 380 live rounds that could have then been fired in a firearm. Were there any 380 live rounds found anywhere in the home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where were they found?
In the children's bedroom.
All right, we have 22 UUU. I'm back to
Which
the
is
state's
crazy,
exhibit.
by the way.
Is this the, as you've described it, backpack? Is this the same one that we just talked about in Defense Exhibit 1?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right, and tell the jury, and we talked to Shannon about this yesterday, Ms. Bader, but
Why
you
were
tell
those
us
in the
what
kids'
fact
bedroom?
you saw, and it is marked by evidence marker, a yellow evidence marker 19. What was in that, Detective?
What we see here, what appears to be a portion of a holster, a box, fully loaded or fully all 50 cartridges of 380 Norma ammunition, and then a spare magazine.
Okay. And that Norma ammunition, I think you already know, but I will go closer. It is 380.
Correct, ma'am.
Why
and
was
how
this
about
in the
that
kids'
magazine?
room?
Do we know if it fits in a 380?
I don't recall if it's a 380 magazine or not.
And the other item you said was a holster?
Looks like it.
Yes, it does appear to be a holster.
Is that going to be a little bit different than the clip we looked at a little bit ago?
Yes, this one would actually attach to the belt or the pants.
Okay. And do we know if that would fit a 380?
I don't know. I think it was soft-sided, so again, that usually runs a range of different makes or models that it could accommodate.
Okay. Thank you. Now, the The bag itself was not collected by your agency, only the items inside, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know why the bag was not collected?
I think what we identified as evidentiary were the materials that were inside the bag. The bag didn't appear to be involved directly, worn by somebody or anything identifiable on the bag that would have assisted with the investigation.
And finding that bag with .380 ammo, a magazine, and a holster, did you also find that odd that it was in the children's closet?
Yes.
It could be seen as odd, yes. It's not generally a place that we would find those items, yeah.
It could be seen as odd that you have .380 ammo in your children's room.
Not the cap.
Detective, you've been doing this a long time now. Come on, man.
Now, there was blood down on the east end of the bunk bed.
Come on, man.
Mattress. We have talked a lot about the west side where the pillow is and where the projectile holes are that we've already discussed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's blood down on the eastern side. Can you give us any opinion as to who that blood is?
I did not know we were doing the investigation whose blood that might be.
Okay. And to this day, you would not know whose blood that was, correct?
That's correct.
And any of those areas on the eastern end, and we used the photos yesterday with Miss Bader, are you aware of any swabs taken from the mattress itself on the east end?
No.
Mandalorian Comforter was.
Right,
All right.
yes.
There was also, and again, we looked at the picture yesterday with Miss Bader, there was also some blood on the wall and the blood on the back railing, kind of where you're V-shaping around the east end. I'm not talking about the staircase.
Right.
There was also what appeared to be a
That's
red
crazy.
substance. Did you have her swab any of that?
No, I don't believe any of that swabbed.
There were some swabbing done, I believe L, M, and N on the ladder, correct, Detective?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Putting
There were
bullets
some
in the
other
kids' room
areas
is
down
insane.
on the ladder, potentially other transfer stains, also maybe a drip on the stair, on the ladder. Those were not swabbed.
That's correct.
Did you have any concern whatsoever of contamination by the fact that mattress was moved to the bottom?
At the time that we were moving that mattress, we'd already taken all of our swabs of the areas that we were intending on collecting. So at that
no.
point, we were not as worried about contamination. I don't believe any other swabs were taken once that mattress starts getting moved.
Okay. And what happens to the bottom mattress when you're moving the top mattress to the bottom?
I recall the bottom mattress being pushed further in, but I don't know. I think the mattresses would have been in contact with each other at some point.
All right. What do you mean pushed further in?
Because there's a little bit of a void there, I think it was moved a little bit further in to accommodate a little bit of room for the top mattress.
So you're saying that both mattresses
What?
were somehow on that bottom bunk while you were testing the top mattress that had been moved there?
No, there's no testing being done. That's just the cutting into the
Well, that's
mattress.
what I meant. I
Yes,
apologize.
the very end. It's almost the very last thing we did before leaving the house is remove the mattress from the top bunk, photograph it as we're cutting into it, and then remove the projectile from it.
Okay. As you went through with Miss Reader in detail?
Correct.
All right. But are you saying then that both mattresses were still on the bottom slats when you did that?
That's correct.
Okay. We saw some gauze that appeared to have a red substance or blood at the top of the stairs. Do you know who that belonged to, Detective?
I wonder why they don't want to say
And the
blood.
metal clip that you've even described with Miss Bader, why was that found to be of significance?
As I recall, it was mentioned that there might have been a head wrapping or some sort of item on the male juvenile's head. So we weren't sure if that might have been a clip for that head wrap.
Okay. So did you talk to any of the responding deputies about the fact they had wrapped his head?
I talked to responding deputies. I don't recall them saying anything about the head wrap.
But you've described it as something that appears to attach gauze.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Were you responsible for collecting any phones from the scene?
As I recall, we did collect one phone from the couch.
A blue iPhone?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Do you know who that phone belonged to?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Now, downstairs by the couch, there appeared to be some substance on the floor. Do you remember that? Let me try to find the photo for you.
Yeah, those guns. It's amazing to me that they had guns in their
I
kids'
believe you're
room.
probably referring to the
It's
area that looks
crazy.
a little bit like footprint.
Absolutely, Detective, yeah. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing.
Yep.
I have co-counsel going through the other photos. Again, bear with me, there's a lot of photos. Okay, I actually found it. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fodley. Now, this is going to be states 22B, marked by red substance A. Do you recognize that? And is that what we're speaking of?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that is in close proximity to where the couch is downstairs.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And are you aware, in fact, that that is the couch that Mr. Bass sat holding his son, JJ?
Yes, I am aware of that.
And for illustration, we have 22A. Is this the couch that we're speaking of?
Yes.
It's marked by evidence marker 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, it's
Evidence
unbelievable.
marker 1
I
is
agree.
actually documenting that clip.
Correct.
So the area, we can see it clearly in this photo that we just looked at in red substance B larger is going to be this area here.
That's correct.
Okay. So you would agree with me that that's in close proximity to the couch?
Yes, ma'am.
Was anything done? What was done with that?
Just the photograph with the measurements as seen that we just looked at.
Okay. Was there anything that could have been done, amido black or anything else to see if it was a footprint, to see if there could be any sort of identification?
I think based on size and what the general appearance of it, at a couple different angles, you can even see where it looks like there might have been toe prints. Based on training experience, it was our thought it is a footprint. In terms of blood collection or processing, I don't believe any was done. I know the floor was textured, so I don't recall. There may have been conversation about there being a difficulty of trying to lift that print with the texture of the floor, but I don't recall there being any processing like amido black done for it.
Now, it's not really surprising for you to see that because you know from the facts of this case that Mr. Bass carried his son down and they were down in that area.
That's correct.
Right. Okay. And it did appear to be, like, to you, a smaller footprint.
Smaller, yes.
I need to ask you about Defense Exhibit 2C. Do you recognize that, Detective?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there is a pink children's car in the lower right-hand corner of that exhibit, and there appears to be some substance on it. Did you direct anybody, specifically Ms. Bader or anybody else, to swab that to determine what that might have been?
No, it was not swabbed.
It said it looked like barbecue sauce.
I want to talk to you about Defense 2A and B. Do you recognize this, Detective?
Yes, ma'am. This is going to be the back side of the front door.
That's as far as it goes. Is that all right? Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
It just shows the whole door there. Okay. I have a close-up, Shannon Bader's photos, Defense Exhibit 2B.
I don't know what they're saying right now.
Is that just going to be a close-up of the photograph we just looked at?
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sure we'll hear it
And
during
that's going to
closing.
be on the back side of the front door.
Correct.
Okay. What was done in terms of processing of this red substance in these two defense exhibits?
Just photographs were taken.
Was any attempt made, even an attempt made, to potentially lift, say for example, see if there might have been some prints here, or find out whose blood it might be?
No,
if
I
it's
don't.
blood.
Yeah, I don't believe there were. The fingerprint smudges closer to the lock area or the lower portion of the door, I believe did not appear to have any detail to them, but no, there was no additional processing done for the fingerprints or for the print areas.
Gotcha. And no DNA swab, just the print,
Correct.
just the photographs. Okay. Thank you, Detective. Were you involved in searching the master bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in terms of the master bedroom, there was not anything recovered ballistics-wise that involved 380s, correct?
That's correct.
Now, what we just looked at in the Defense Exhibit 2A and B on the back of the door, would you agree with me that that would have been a pretty significant piece of evidence if somebody has their hand in blood or touches it and has blood on them? Could that be a significant piece of evidence?
It could have been. We knew there were multiple people going.
It could have
out the
been,
door
but we
that
didn't
had
care about it.
Potentially bloody hands. Yes.
Did you see in the body cams how the door remains open?
I believe it is open for a period of time for some of the body camera. Yes.
Okay. In terms of when I say open, the back of the front door that I just showed you where the staining is would have been up against the wall.
That's correct.
Was any GSR testing done in this case that you're aware of, Detective, on Jayla Bass, on the son, JJ Bass?
No, there was none done.
Okay. Did you request for any of it to be done?
No.
All right. I want to ask you a little bit more, and I'm wrapping up for you, Detective, on the Mandalorian Comforter. I understand there was some additional testing done by Ms. Bader. Were you involved with that?
I was not present, but I was aware of what the additional work was.
Okay. So there was additional testing done
What
to
was
take
that?
a swab of one of the red substances on the blanket.
Correct.
or comforter. And in fact, there were photographs and specific infrared light used
Thank
to
you,
try
Amy.
to lift gunshot residue.
At least see if there was something that would be consistent with that, yes.
And you guys can do that. You have these lights, you put it on, potentially you can see gunshot residue.
You can at least see something that would be consistent with what gunshot residue would be. We can't definitively say that. We would have to send it off for additional testing to be able to say that.
And my next question,
Don't do that,
was
Slim
anything
Light.
sent off
Thing.
on that Mandalorian comforter, what we just talked about, to determine if there was gunshot residue on that Mandalorian comforter?
No, we did not send
No
it to the fire lab.
GSR
Okay, you didn't do
at all.
anything with it.
That's correct.
And that potentially could put that
Crazy.
comforter in closer relation on the bed to where the shooter is, potentially.
It could, yes.
All right, I want to ask you just a question about, Ms. Reeder talked to you about items that were sent off, and you and I discussed areas that were not swabbed as well. You used the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to send off swabs, say from the firearm, swabs on the wall. There was a swab labeled O that was on the mattress. That is the agency you use, correct?
Yes, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE. Yes, ma'am.
Now, Florida Department of Law Enforcement does have a limit, correct?
That's correct.
However, they have a limit per submission, is that not correct?
That's correct.
All right, so technically, in this case, are you privy to how many submissions there were?
I don't know the full number of submissions that there were now.
Quite a few?
Yes,
All right. So a limit, and it's 5 per submission?
correct.
All right. So you could submit 5 per submission, and technically then you could keep doing that. There's really no limit on what you can send.
Just time, correct.
Just what?
Just time.
Oh, okay. Too much time to do all that?
No, too much time in terms of usually 10 to 12 months until we're getting a turnaround for
I
DNA
got
to
you.
come back, yeah.
I got you. It would take
Jeez.
too long to send that many items.
We would potentially not.
Ooh, did y'all hear that? 10 to 12 months for DNA to come back?
have
Oh,
those items
God.
before trial is done.
Stay out of
When
this
were
system.
items sent off?
I don't recall the specific date that they're sent off.
Because what is it now, at about 2.5 years since this incident took place, roughly?
Correct, yes.
Terrible.
All right, but in addition to that submission limit, you can even get exceptions for
On
that,
occasion,
right?
yes,
Right,
yes.
it's just a phone call or an email.
Above us, but yes, yeah.
Right, okay. Your superiors
Correct.
make a phone call or send an email, so really, there's no limit.
Just based off of what FDLE is willing to say yes or accept, there still has to be a cause or reason to request additional time.
And a lot of the things in this case concerning the children's bedroom and the bunk bed, that
10
would be
to
pretty
12
significant, wouldn't it?
months.
It could be yes.
Okay.
There's still a
And
huge
if
backlog
FDLE
here
refused
in
to take
Fulton
additional
County,
items,
too.
there are other independent labs that can be used?
Correct.
Okay. But in this case, there wasn't any need to go above FDLE because the items that you wanted to send, or Detective Gabot, were sent.
Correct.
No other items besides the ones that got sent.
That's fair, yes.
Okay. May I have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
That is insane that it takes that long to get DNA. 10 to 12 months. Ooh, scary.
Just a second. Just a second.
I had asked you about any GSR that was done, or actually not done, on Jay Bass or Jermaine, the son, JJ. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any GSR done on the hands of my client, Jermaine Bass?
No, I don't believe there was.
Are you
Zero.
aware of any GSR testing done on Shirley Bass?
No, ma'am, I don't believe there was.
Now, does FDLE do gunshot residue testing?
I don't believe they do in terms of interpretation for identifying GSR.
There are other labs that do that, correct?
Correct, there are private labs, yes.
So technically, if your agency had taken gunshot residue of the son or Jayla or Mrs. Bass
Ask
or
the
Mr.
question.
Bass, it could have been sent off to an outside agency.
Yes, it's while they're done at the scene, yes, it can be sent out.
Why
And as
didn't
we've
you do
established,
it?
They were not.
Correct.
Okay, but it certainly could have been done had it been requested in this case.
Yes, ma'am.
I thank you so much, Detective Holman.
Thank you.
Ah, she didn't ask the question. Why didn't she ask him, why didn't it get done? I want to hear him say, oh, well, you know, we just didn't feel like it. That's the question I want to know. Why didn't you do test for GSR? Come on, man. Seems to be pretty important when there was
Defense counsel
a
showed
gunfire.
you a picture of what looked like a handprint on the back of the front door. Do you recall that photo?
Yes, ma'am.
You said that there was no further testing done on it. Did you submit it to anyone else at your agency to look at it any further?
We did submit to our fingerprint analysis unit.
Were you able to get any results from that request for fingerprint analysis of that photo?
No, we were not. It was not a value comparison, meaning they were not able to get sufficient detail from the photograph and or the contents of the photograph to be able to make an identification.
Now,
Reasonable
at
doubt
the
creeping
beginning, when
in.
you first arrived to the scene and throughout your investigation, did you ever become aware or of anyone else being injured in this case besides Jermaine Bass, the little boy, or Jayla Bass, the little girl?
No, ma'am, I was not aware of anybody else being injured.
Defense counsel spoke to you about swabbing and sending things off for DNA. Would the results of any swabs or DNA taken from the top mattress that we've discussed in this case help you resolve whether or not the gun going off was an accident?
I don't believe
I'm
so.
going to object to that speculation, improper opinion.
Sustained.
Would any DNA swabs that were taken from the top mattress discussed by defense counsel at the locations decided by defense counsel, would that have helped you decide whether or not, or who the shooter of the gun was?
Same objection.
Sustained.
I don't have any further questions, Judge.
All right. You can step down, sir. Thank you. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes.
I would ask you remain under subpoena, but he's free to leave the courthouse.
All right. You're still subject to recall. Thank you. Call your next witness.
All right, so I think that might be it for right now. We're probably going to pick up, well, we're definitely going to pick up on this during the next show. Let me know what y'all think about this, though. A lot of information from that detective. They seem to really be, and by they, I mean the prosecutors really seem to be keying in on the height of the shot, the angle of the shots, how many shots there were, and the defense really focused in on what rounds were fired, which rounds were fired, where the rounds were found, why the comforters were moved, what was swabbed, what was taken, why there's a random clip sitting in the kid's bedroom. A lot of it's not adding up. So I definitely want to know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Definitely a lot of questions and very little answers, as y'all said. And shout out to the gang again, man. Showing love. Sloppy investigation. GSR, there we go. It all points to the sun, says Rice Street. Oh, say it ain't so, man. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Oh man. As an 9-year-old, that's wild. Let me read some more of these super chats. And I'm going to get y'all up out of here. Shout out to over on the Cash App. We had, I don't want to say your name. Jazzaline is in here too. Shout out to Jazzaline in the building, dropping the 2 bomb. And we had TAC over there as well, dropping the 5 bomb. I appreciate y'all on the Cash App. Also, we've got, let me make sure I get everybody. Kara Hampton in here with the 5 bomb as well, saying just a simple thank you, Classy and Amy. Appreciate you. We have Perfect Peace gifted a membership. If you got that membership from Perfect Peace, make sure you say thank you. That's showing major love there as well. We got Mr. Brown in here saying no joking matter. I mean, the negligence in this case, whatever happened. Where the guns were located alone. Say nothing happened and CPS randomly walked into the house. You think they're going to be cool with a 380 kept inside the kid's closet? Was it there the whole time? Why was the ammo with the gun? Why was the ammo? It's just, doesn't make any sense, man. This is tragic. And it happens way too often. Irresponsible gun owners, irresponsible parents. This case brings back memories. What? Hey, yo. Don't answer this, Mr. Brown, but what you mean by that? Shout out to you for the 2 bomb, though. I don't think I want to know that answer. Gosh. Oh, there it is. Tangi Davis in there. Thank you, Tangi, for the 5 bomb over on Cash App. There she is. Rice Street says, I believe Jermaine has come to terms with the loss of his daughter by his son's hands, and he's going to take the fall. Would y'all do that for your kids? It's not going to bring his daughter back. If that were the case, I do think it's the right thing to do, considering whatever happened, the guns were where they were. He was an irresponsible gun owner, an irresponsible parent. That much we know. There's no doubt about that at all. So whatever happens, he needs to be held accountable. The question is, does Shirley have something to do with it as well? I don't know. Either way, I mean, Jermaine, for me to say is guilty, I haven't seen that yet. The question is, what is he guilty of? And I'm going to leave that up to y'all, and we'll see what the jury decides too. I don't think we're going to have a verdict today. We're going to keep on the verdict watch, and then we'll have an update for you guys tomorrow. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live or drop a new video. We're actually dropping a new clip here in a couple of minutes, so make sure y'all look out for that. I'll also be doing a couple more this afternoon. And also, thank you to everybody that liked the video. We had over 100% likes on this live stream. Y'all are amazing, man. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Get some lunch, enjoy time with your family. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Appreciate y'all.